I'll try wait until it's online on my end. So it takes a sec. Hey guys. Hello. Yes, you guys are like free to like roll that mission, go through your lists, do secondaries, and deploy. And then I'll let you know when you can like start game because we'll be talking about like listing.
Alrighty, everybody, hello and welcome. It's that time again. Welcome back to the Alpha League as we cast the finals of our Alpha League Season 6. Now that I think about it. My name is Slowwolf. I'm going to be one of your casters today. And joining me, we've got a pretty stellar crew. May I introduce Eravor and EDT once more. Hello, you two.
Hey man, how's it going? Great to be here. Excited to see the AdMech on the stream for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
They had the highest win rate during the season, which we covered in the podcast, and now we're finally getting to see them in one of our finals matches. So, really looking forward to that.
And how you doing, EDT?
What's up, guys? EDT. I won the last season of Alpha League, was in the playoffs, and just got booted out last week, unfortunately. But I know the streak is over. I'm also Evan at the Competitive Standard 40K. So if you guys are into battle reports and tactical videos, go check out the Competitive Standard 40K. You might have seen us on Warhammer Community, yada yada. But yeah, I'm excited to see AdMech too. The offensive potential there is pretty scary. He's got kind of a pretty standard list with a little bit of tweaks in there, I'm sure we'll talk about in a few seconds, versus a pretty sturdy Dark Angels army that is pre-new supplement rules though. So not as sturdy with the permanent transhuman, but similarly sturdy with other rules that were still strong before the new book came out.
Absolutely. Now, a couple of things before we get started. It is worth reminding folks that, again, no backseating, please. We can definitely do some theory craft, we can definitely toss out some ideas, but we're not here to tell the players what to do. And the reason why is because they could be listening. So, in order to keep this as competitive as possible, try not to backseat or specifically call out any moves that they should or should not be doing. Secondarily, hey, there's going to be predictions and votes going on in the chat the whole game long, as much as we can. For our first prediction, who's getting the first turn? It's nice and easy, effectively a 50-50 gamble. Go ahead and give it your best. But over the course of the game, we'll be asking who you think is winning, who do you think ought to win.
How can a 50-50 gamble when you literally have Dark Angels, AdMech, Fallen, or Chaos?
Right? Now that you think about it, it's more like a 75% chance that one of them goes first. But go ahead.
In the Dark Angels' favor.
So yeah, overall, we're going to be having a bunch of stuff like that in the chat, so go ahead and take a look there. And if you're just listening to us, hey, don't worry about it. We'll be as pleasant to listen to as always. Yeah, I think that's about all the announcements. Unless you got anything else, Erever, you'd like to talk about specifically?
No, I was just going to add, we could have also had Dark Mechanicum in there. Let's get all the Chaos jokes going early and get them out of the way. So we could have even had like Dark Mechanicum as an option.
That's absolutely true. I'm going to go ahead and leave the names as is, though, since this is a series that could have people who are brand new to the game joining in. We're going to keep this as legible as possible for most people, but keep the jokes flowing. I'm sure that both players love it.
Right? So we're only allowed to talk like serious matter as well. Like there can be no like joking or anything. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Erever is the comic relief, and I'm all business.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, for sure. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at things. So first things first, if you want to check out the lists for yourself, put an exclamation mark lists in the chat. It will put up both of the lists, and you can check them out yourself. For us today, though, we're going to be taking a look at the lists as well, and going over them a little bit in a little bit of depth over the next 5 or so minutes. Let's go ahead and start off with the Dark Angels list. EDT, why don't you go ahead and list off what's going on here?
Sure thing. So Curie, as a longtime Dark Angels player, he likes to play his Azrael Castle. So Azrael is his warlord, the character. He has a aura of 6 inches that's a 4-up invulnerable for all the units within 6. And so he'll put his most of his forces, at least starting the game, in a castle around Azrael. And so he's got Azrael and Samael, who each have Chapter Master rules, which means he'll get to pick 2 different units to get Chapter Master rerolls each turn.
Wow.
His 3 troop choices are Assault Intercessor squads, so just 3 5-man units there. They'll be going forward using OBSEC to take objectives, maybe holding backfield if he needed to. In his elite slots, he's got the Blade Guard Ancient, who has Rights of War, so that is a warlord trait that will give everybody around that model OBSEC as well. So that'll get him OBSEC on his Deathwing and his Blade Guard veterans and his attack bikes even. And this is because this is pre the new supplement where most of those units actually get OBSEC now as part of the book.
So long as they're in a specific detachment, but that's a discussion for another time.
Correct. And so then next he's got a Blade Guard Ancient, like we said, with the Pennant of Remembrance and Rights of War. The Pennant of Remembrance is a 5-up Feel No Pain aura. So again, you're seeing he's got a lot of characters that provide key auras as part of his castle build. He's got the Blade Guard Veteran Squad, which is a 6-man, very durable unit. Then he's got his 10-man unit of Terminators, 5 with Lightning Claws and 5 with the Storm Bolters and Chain Fists, with 2 Cyclone Missile Launchers in there. So it's a surprising amount of DACA at range, actually. And of course, it can blend pretty well. Being at 10-man, he also could combat squad them if he needs to. So closing out the Elite's choice, he has the Ravenwing Apothecary with the Selfless Healer Warlord trait. So that's the really strong Space Marine ability to just pick up a model each turn, and also the 6-up Feel No Pain aura. And he has 2 attack bike squads with multi-meltas. So he'll be chapter mastering one of those with Samael likely. And then closing it out is the Inceptor squad. So between the attack bikes and the Inceptors, he's got a lot of 24/18-inch range. That's really high strength, high AP. And then kind of the high volume coming from the Stormbolters that are on the Deathwings.
And let's go ahead and take a look at the AdMech list now. Although much of it has started to hitting the table, we can still talk about it. Arover, do you want to take us through this list?
AdMech are great, like right now. Like I've been making the argument quite a lot that I think that the one army that doesn't want a 9th edition codex is Adeptus Mechanicus right now. So he's gone Mars as the Forge World's choice because 2 reasons. One, that gives you access to Belisarius Call, and it also means that you can jank your canticles as well, and also just pick a canticle in a turn as well. So if you're not aware, Belisarius Call allows a full reroll aura, which he has extended with the Warlord trait, I believe, to be, I think it's default 6, and I think it actually puts it out to 9. So that's pretty tasty. And then we've got the Text Priest engines here, with, of course, the Engine War Warlord trait, Divinations of the Magos, which allows an aura of 6s to hit explode into additional hits. This is unmodified 6, and it's great. Like, just gives you so much more DACA on the field, and there are a lot of scary units that this can really start to synergize well with, especially with a few strats. We got the good old rusty 15 here, Skitarii Vanguards, just to hold objectives with the OBSEC, probably just keeping them in the backfield. And then we get onto the more sort of scary stuff. We've got 20 Electro Priests, that's 20 boys that are looking to go in, kill a unit, and then get that free up invul and be an absolute menace to take off it. And then we've got the Iron Striders, great unit, with the twin Cognis autocannons, a lot of DACA, exploding 6s. There's a strat to give them +1 to hit as well, I think. So they can become really scary. Really
+2 to hit on those.
Sorry?
It goes to +2 on them, actually.
+2. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Up to a maximum of +1, but at least they can ignore -1s if they come up.
Yeah.
Right. So it'll be hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s, exploding on 6s, and then if he pops the Wrath of Mars strat to do mortal wounds, he can even buff that to wounding on 5s, to mortal wounds on 5s. I mean,
combos. Yeah. It's disgusting. And then we've got the Free Scorpius Disintegrator. They're a fantastic tank. They're a great gunboat. Able to shoot outside of line of sight. As well, which makes them even more scary.
Nope, he's taking the
Belarus cannon. He's gone for the Ferromite.
Yeah, he's got the Ferromite cannons. That still hurts really bad. It's strength 8, AP -3, flat 3 damage. Like, that thing does hit hard, which is nice.
Yeah, interestingly though, since he doesn't have any, all of his shooting requires line of sight. He won't be able to just kind of hide and hurt the Dark Angels. He will have to kind of trade with them, and they are in a good position to trade with the multi-melted bikes and with the Inceptors.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we got the one flyer. It's really easy just to get engaged with it. It can be super annoying. It can. Is this the one that drops bombs? I can never remember like the.
It's the Fuselav. So it does have a bomb rack.
So it's taken. The upgrade it's taken is the one that lets you turn off an aura, the command uplink. So he'll fly it near the Dark Angel's castle and turn off an aura, which could be the Chapter Master, it could be the Rites of Battle OBSEC.
It could be
a lot
that
of plays
4-up
there.
Invulnerable in Azrael, suddenly making those Terminators a lot easier to kill.
And then we got the 2 Dune Riders, which the priests will be hanging out in, getting somewhere of use. And then being a real nuisance. It's a scary list. Like, there's so much going on. There's so many synergies. That just stack up. And
for the
bit of a sleeper army, I'd say, because you don't tend to normally come across them on the Discord server a huge amount compared to Space Marines, say.
Yeah, AdMech are really powerful. The for those who don't know about the priests, when they kill a unit in combat, they go to a 3-up invulnerable save. And if they are within an objective at the end of their turn, within I think 6 of an objective or within 3, they can get +1 to all of their saving throws. So if they kill a unit and end up on an objective, the priest unit can go to a 2-up invulnerable, which is really nasty.
Slowwolf, can you just up
Yep,
the...
I'm already on it.
Alright, cool. No problem. Thank you, Sultana. We'll check it out. Yeah, let's take a look at the mission, guys. So today we are playing Battle Lines, which is a 4 objectives on the map. Classic sort of long ways sort of deployment, and it is hold 1, hold 2, hold more. And it's not like those sort of like longer sort of base games where there's like 6 objectives on the map. You have to like actually hold 3 to get like hold more here. So it can be really difficult. It's a really scrappy mission, this one, I find, because you have to get in, you have to look for that like hold more on the primary, and it can be super difficult, super tight to do. I just think Dark Angels have a bit of an advantage there with the Deathwing Terminators being just sort of buffer onto an objective and just hold it and out survive what the AdMech can sort of throw at them. So I'll be curious to see if Curie does sort of play that sort of tactic on the primary. And then for the secondary for the mission, we got Vital Ground.
Right.
So that is score 3 points if you control the objective marker in your opponent's deployment zone, and score 2 points for each objective marker that you control that is not in either player's deployment zone.
Yeah, so in this case, neither player has taken that mission-specific secondary. Yeah. And Curie, interestingly, has taken Domination, which is almost a slightly better version of that. So he'll have to just hold 3 out of 4, which means, unlike the mission secondary, he doesn't have to do it at the start of his command phase. So by the end of his turn, as long as he has something on 3 objectives, he'll be controlling them and getting 3 points. And given that he has the Rights of War Warlord trait to make both his Blade Guard and his Deathwing OBSEC, he has a lot of ways to make sure to take that center ground.
Yeah. I mean, your Vanguard just aren't going to compete there, right?
Absolutely.
So, for reference, though, let's talk about the secondaries for just a minute. Because I don't think we've listed all of them yet. So, Curie has taken While We Stand, We Fight, Domination, and Bring It Down. What do you guys think of those 3 for the Dark Angels list, and what is benefiting from While We Stand, We Fight? Like, what are the models that he has to keep alive?
It'll be unit, right?
So, it's not units.
It's model.
Yeah.
Currently still, right?
So, so because it's old rules, should be Samael, Azrael, and probably his Apothecary. We can double check that. But in the old rules where it was just keep characters safe, when you have such an infantry heavy army, there's not a lot of opportunities for the AdMech player to get shooting on his characters. Curie would have to be getting tabled in order for him to lose his While We Stand characters. So it's a pretty safe bet for him. And then Domination on a map like this where there's 4 objectives total, you can get to 3 out of 4 pretty easily. You just have to put something on the middle 2 every single turn, which, like we were saying, he has OBSEC. He has a lot of models to put there. He has the fast bikes. He should be able to score probably a full 15 on Domination, or at least 12. And then his last pick of Bring It Down, back before the changes to Bring It Down, which made you get less points per unit that you destroy, this is a pretty obvious choice against AdMech, because the AdMech army just bleeds more than 15 points of Bring It Down, and he wants to be killing the things that hurt him, which are the chickens and the Pharamite disintegrators. So every single time that the chickens or Pharamites come out to take line of sight to his units, he'll have to counteract and try to remove them with his Meltas, with his Plasma, and when he does that, he'll be rewarded for it with Bring It Down points. So pretty no-brainers there for Curie, I'd say.
And then what about Lockjaw here? He has another interesting list himself, sitting on Engage on All Fronts, While We Stand, We Fight as well, and Assassinate. It is hard to pick against Space Marines, but I do think that most of these make good sense. Erever, what do you think about these secondaries here?
Well, he's got the flyer, so Engage is like safe for a couple of turns. It's just that when that flyer gets down, like, does he really want to be going into like table quarters, which have like Deathwing Knights that are going to have like a 12 to 18-inch threat range on anything that he's going to bring into there? So that could be, it was scored early on, sure, but later on, I'm curious as to how he's going to try to sort of like maintain at least like 2 sort of points on that. It is always like the go-to pick, but now that I've played a lot of ninth against some armies, it's like actually not that great, and I'm not sure. We'll have to see. What he does there. While we fight is fine. I think like it's gonna be on call.
One of the disintegrators, I think.
And the disintegrators. I think it's fine, but I feel also like Cole is not the most survivable of characters. So if Curie can get like a charge off into him, you kind of have to move him around with the vehicles. You're always like maintaining the line of sight and auras. So Cole can occasionally end up out of position, and it might be a point where he can kind of take advantage of that. Assassinate, again, he's gone very killy, well, very spirable killy here with his secondaries. Assassinate is going to be really rough, I think, unless he can do that big alpha strike and leave one of those characters exposed to get to it.
So what were you thinking, like, what do you think he could use other than Assassinate? Like, it's a tough call because Space Marine lists are very, like, they're almost immune to the vast majority of secondaries. And this, Curry's list does have a lot of characters. The AdMech list, being as offensive as it is probably looking to table his opponent as hard as possible. So going for Assassinate does make sense, but it's not going to be anything he can score till the very end. And if everything survives till the end, then yeah, it's a lack of points for sure. So it's definitely a risky pick. I agree on that. But like, what else would you have picked?
Again, it's tough. Like maybe the Mission Pacific, like just try and get like one mid-board objective and hold it, and just fight around with like one flank as opposed to both of them.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been an option. Other than that, I mean, deploy scramblers. Curie's army doesn't have like the best screening, so could have gone for like some outflanks with the Vanguard, because you've only got one objective in like your deployment zone, right? So
yeah,
what are the other like 2 squads of Vanguard doing?
Yeah, at this point I imagine that the 2 squads of Vanguard might be screens or redundancy when needed. And it's definitely going to take a couple of turns before Lockjaw can like push out, but that's kind of how shooting armies have to work. And AdMech can definitely do it. They have the speed with their Cerberus Raiders, which they have, and the Dragoons that are running around shooting things. So, the Ballistara, sorry. So there is definitely the speed to get onto the objectives later on, but yeah, it's going to be a weird one. So as far as first turn goes, it seems as if we've got a AdMech first turn, which is...
Yep, so he won the roll-off and opted to go first, which makes sense, being that AdMech kind of want that first turn alpha strike. There's a lot of data that shows that AdMech have a much higher win rate when they go first.
Oh yeah, especially with these like raiders. These are like the most annoying thing to like play against in 40k.
Yep.
And look how he's screening out this objective completely with that like ridiculous base size, like right now.
Yeah, so it's crazy because so the two things that are really powerful about this move is turn one, he has the pregame move before he goes, so he doesn't have to worry about a counter punch when he gets his pregame move off. So he'll move up to this position. He'll make sure he gets his engage points turn one, like we were talking about, and then when he gets charged, instead of giving away movement to the entire bulk of Curie's army, he has the stratagem to fall back with the Raiders to make the any charging units essentially auto-fail their charge. So he'll be able to do this kind of engage, bait, and switch for probably 2 turns, and that might be how he gets those early engage points, as well as potentially move blocking some angles.
Oh, I just noticed that as well. He with the Raiders, he can go for cheeky mortal wounds, like on the characters as well. They've all got the sniper rifle on them.
They do.
A way to like sort of like possibly get a point or 2 on Assassinate.
I think it'll be interesting to see what he does with his plane turn one, because if he sends that plane into the middle of the Dark Angels army, they will eat. It'll have to eat yeah, it's going to eat plasma, melta, and missile launchers. So I think he might want to save that ability to turn off rerolls or turn off auras for maybe like a mid game when it could be really crucial, as opposed to, okay, you do a turn one, you don't get that much value out of it, and you lose your plane right away.
I agree. There's something to be said for being able, if you've got the first turn, to hit a little bit, but not to overcommit to anything. Because if you overcommit, especially against the Dark Angels army like this, which has the punch that it does, you will suffer some debilitating casualties. Curry did a good job of, like, you know, at least putting all of his units into different auras to make it difficult to kill any of them. And they are Space Marines. They are ridiculously tough. But there's some, but they're out in the open-ish. And although it's very tempting to overcommit to this, it is a mistake, I think, to do so.
It
looks like Lockjaw is playing along those lines. We'll have to see if that continues to be the case, though.
If you see that Curie has this bike squad right next to Samael, I'm pretty sure that the chickens are right across. As soon as the chickens move a few inches and touch that building, you'll be able to see right onto the bike squad. And apothecary or not, I think the chicken unit could pick up the entire unit of bikes in one
Be a
shooting
good kill,
phase.
turn one for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
With
And that would
just
not be a big commit either. Like they have long
no.
enough range that they would not be able to be touched, especially not by the other Melta squad that's on the other side of the map, really. And then the Terminator squad has like what, 2 missiles and a few bolter shots. It wouldn't be enough even with
4
rerolls.
missiles. But yeah.
Oh yeah. Good point.
But still, not that much. You pick up a chicken, 2 if you're crazy lucky.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we certainly have so you have some measuring ranges here. It looks like as if that copter is going to be flying into the middle of the army. At least that's what Lockjaw is currently contemplating. If he does go through that move, that would be going against what we just discussed a little bit. What are the benefits?
He might get baited in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he might get baited in. He's seeing that he has line of sight into some angles. He might just really want to capitalize on that alpha strike. And I will say, like, as someone, you know, when you get to go first and you have an army that wins by going first and having a great first turn of shooting, it's really tempting to take the opportunity when it's given to you, even if it might not necessarily be the best play. It's just habitual that you want to do it.
Yeah, and well, there are some benefits to it. Being able to turn off certain auras, for instance, a 5-up Feel No Pain or a 6-up Feel No Pain from the Apothecary could be a great way to shift the math in your favor. Same thing could be said for Azrael's 4-up Invulnerable Save, although I can't see that being used immediately. There aren't a lot of good lines of sight to that squad of Terminators.
Right.
Alright, so we're into the movement phase proper right now. We are moving the Cerberus Raiders into the upper left corner there now. And for engage on all fronts. Yep, taking the objective and screening it out as well. And it's also going to be really annoying to try to charge, because they could just use the stratagem to fall back 12 inches. Yeah, that pregame move, plus their ability to move super fast on the first turn, makes those things brutally annoying to deal with.
Good luck. The thing there is that
and seeing this, like, good luck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing there is that Curie has to get domination, right? And so at this moment, it's kind of hard unless Curie advances a unit onto that objective. He won't be able to get onto that objective if he tries to charge onto it, because as soon as the Raiders fall back, the charges are failed, and there's no models sitting on the objective. There's no extra movement he has. So he'll have to, in his movement phase, get a unit onto that objective. Otherwise, the option for the Admech to fall back and deny him getting domination is present.
Yeah. All right, and Lockjaw is continuing to...
And you see he's doing that right now.
Yeah.
He's doing just what I said, which is as he moves the models there, he'll stop him from even advancing onto the objective, knowing that when they charge down there, he'll fall back, and that'll deny the domination on that corner.
Now, the other cool thing about those Raiders being right where they are, as we mentioned before, they've got sniper weapons, and there is an important character on that side of the map. This could be an opportunity to start scoring points for Assassinate, if not get one of the characters brutally close to that point. Do you think that that's even a thing that's going to happen with these weapons? Like, do these Raiders typically tend to snipe the characters they shoot, or is that more of a hot rolling situation?
Yeah, I think it's more a hot rolling situation.
Yeah.
You can get lucky with it. They're not amazing, like sniper rifles. They're not like 8th edition like Eliminator good,
8th edition Eliminators are a bit much.
What you can do is you can get there with stratagems if you start spending command points like that. But the thing is, those are stratagems that the army might want to use in other places. The +1s to hit, the +1 to wound on the chickens, the Wrath of Mars for the mortals. That's where you really start like kind of adding up. But those are all stratagems that he's going to want to put on the chickens to make sure he deletes the attack bites. So unlikely that he'll spike enough to kill Samael, of all people, for sure. Although the way he's moving right now, it does seem like it would be a bit of a gambit, but it does seem like Samael could fly right over those bikes and just land on the objective.
Yeah.
Right, but then at that point...
Normally just see people like put them in like a ball, like surrounding, like all over the objective template. Like I've seen people do that before, and you just can't go like anywhere near it.
Now, mind you, putting Samael out in the open like that, even if he's got only a little bit of support, the Admech army has more than enough punch to get rid of whatever's surrounding Samael and then just absolutely murder him. Which is points for Assassinate and removes a While We Stand We Fight. Currently, Curry cannot do anything super aggressive with his characters, specifically the ones with While We Stand We Fight, without effectively giving up an 8-point swing. That, I think, might come to be an issue later on, just because not being able to be aggressive with your Space Marine characters can cost you the game on occasion. They are powerful characters. You want to use them, and designing your list around it is definitely a good thing. But yeah, that might be a weakness in this particular situation where the AdMech list has the firepower to really knock out anything that they really set their mind to.
Yeah, I mean, the only character that he would want to throw away like that would be Samael, and I think he intends to just use him for the chapter master rerolls for as long as possible, and then kind of once it feels safer in the mid to late game, that's when he might do a play like that.
And it
But
goes,
you're
we've
definitely
got a
right.
copter play.
You're right that it's an 8-point swing every time he loses a character, so he will certainly be cautious with them.
Alright, so he does his little deke there, and now the copter is in the middle of the army. Yup, okay. It's been a first turn play here for this, and it looks like Lockjaw's measuring around to see what he can do in terms of removing auras and such. We'll have to see. Oh, what's that token they just put down? Bombed!
Yeah.
He's bombing the Vanguard Vets.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go ahead and get those dice out there. I'll get the dice into the frame so everyone can see. But okay, so the Copters decided to bomb the Vanguard Vets. Interesting choice. The Dune Riders, full of Electro Priest goodness, just moving forward a little bit. Seems like they're going
Get some
to...
chip running from the stubbers on it. Like, so all we can do for now is like, yeah, like he needs to kind of wait with the priests until like the Terminators kind of like come up and do their thing, and then counterpunch for them.
Yeah.
Which makes them like super effective, like in the transports, especially.
Mm-hmm. If they can manage to get the counterpunch off of the Electro Priests, which is where the Priests really shine, getting a kill and taking the objective from the opponent, and then getting the invuln saves that they need, is going to make them like nearly invulnerable on the turn that they do that, and effectively gives them the invulnerable save for the rest of the game. They are an effective counterpunch unit. But if the Priests are taken out before they have a chance to do all that, they are smoked. They are really actually not durable at all as soon as they're out in the open. So Lockjaw has to be careful with those Dune Riders. I mean, at the very least, you want your Electro Priest to go in and do their jazz hands at people. Like that's the very least you want to do.
They're a great combat unit. Like,
yeah.
This is what I mean. Like, like when like Amic got like their PA book, that was it. You know, they're so good.
Yeah.
And granted, they have like nerfs like every PA book has had, but they're still like super solid. Like in everything that they can do on the Saber.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Priest is just like one example. There's all sorts of play you can do. You're not seeing like Daka bots here. Like they're another way to play Amic, which can be super frightening if you haven't got the tools to deal with them.
Yeah, why do you think list building wise there are no Daka bots here for the AdMech list?
Because
is it mobility?
One, I'll bring it down.
Yeah.
They give up a ton of points, and they are super expensive right now. I think like a unit 6 is like something like in the region of about 700 points.
Jeez.
Like that. And they can be super easy to tag as well. When you're playing like armies that are meta, like Warp Time Magnus and stuff like that, you know, then they just don't really get to shine all game, and they're very static. The chickens have the advantage that they can move a lot further. You can still do a lot of the same tricks with them as well, and they are cheaper.
Yeah, they do have some awkward bases, but yeah, absolutely. The higher speed definitely makes up for a lot of up for a lot of ground there.
So if you heard him talking about a couple things, he was measuring his Pharamites to the Deathwing, and now he also just measured his line of sight from the chickens to the attack bikes. So it does seem like he'll try to go for that shooting.
Yeah, it's a big kill. It's a great kill because like those mollymatters are gonna tear through vehicles and start getting like bringing down points. So taking those out early is like super key.
He has to. If he were to whiff on that, the multi-meltas would come pick up his Wally stand in the corner right there, and that would be not good. Also interesting of note is that Curie has combat squatted the 10-man. So Curie has a 5-man unit and a 5-man unit. One is the lightning claws and one is the shooting squad. So I think he's maybe assessed that there isn't one big unit that he needs to punch, but he needs to kind of spread out at some point, and so that's why he's taken 2 different units there.
Yeah, and especially in a map like this, where you have the objectives around the side, it is difficult to have your Terminators be effective in both sides at once. You really do want them to be fighting for both chunks of the map, And it's good to see a Space Marine player that didn't take Oath of Moment here.
I think we'll see him do with his Terminators like we saw Ember Gem do against Tyranids, where he just kind of puts them in the middle of the board and then can react to either objective point of each squad.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be the right play too. And he does have another reactive unit as well. The Inceptors are currently in the sky. They are in reserves. They can deep strike down, later on, and they are a very strong unit. And that Lockjaw will not be able to alpha off the table before they are effective at least once. Yeah. That's a big deal here. And although the one multi-multi squad going down is a blow, it is not the only answer that the Dark Angels here have to
there's a lot of plasma.
all the shooting.
Yeah.
It does feel like they should have.
Plasma, 2D shot per guy plasma. Let's get it right, yeah.
Which will also be extremely helpful against the Electro Priests, considering that they're in squads of 10.
Oh yeah.
And they are in reserves. If nobody noted that yet, that the plasma's in reserves.
Yeah. No, I sorry, my spiel goes on a bit long. I started that off with, they are in reserves, so they will get the chance to do what they need to do no matter what happens.
Gotcha. Yeah, I do think it was a mistake, like we were talking about, to leave the attack bikes out. Turn 1, he's offered, the AdMech player to pick them up. And the AdMech player with 5 chickens, or it looks like 4 chickens that will shoot them, probably will pick them up. The Apothecary's not over there. Azrael's not over there.
Well, the Apothecary is actually over where it needs to be. But yeah, at least 4 of those chickens will be able to shoot into the attack bikes.
No, I'm talking about picking up the attack bikes, the Apothecary.
Oh, I see. I seem to have gotten confused as to where people were. Very good.
I mean,
also, Curie could have
seen what happens, right, when you don't kill the entire unit, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Just one up attack bikes for the entire game.
that poor Lictor. If only.
Oh yeah.
I still feel bad about that.
Game. Check it out on Slow's Twitch. Dark Angels versus Tyranids. We got to see the Apothecary earn a medal that game. I think would be the right way to put it.
Yep, it was a thing for sure. Good game though, very good game. One thing that I am noticing Lockjaw doing already, though, is positioning the transports and the raiders and a variety of other things in such a way as to be ready to screen for next turn. That would be wise, I think. With proper screening, do you think that those Inceptors might not have the targets they want? Or do you think that those Inceptors will get the targets they want no matter what happens?
I think you've got the Inceptors are 18-inch range, right? So yeah. You can pretty much go for whatever you want. It's one of those things that you just kind of have to almost let happen. That's really sad, but you could sort of micromanage your screens, but there's probably going to be something that they can shoot that they want to shoot regardless because the 18-inch range.
I think he'll be able to screen out. If you look at the most important stuff he has the Wowie stands that are all the way in the back, and he has the chickens all the way in the back. And unless Curie, the thing is, he will always have a movement phase to push out before Curie drops the Plasma Scepters in. So I think you're right, Slowwolf, that the transport in the middle will absolutely come out to be screening if the raiders in the bottom are removed. And then on the other side, also we'll notice good play with the transports that if the transports were to need to disembark or whatever it would be, they would have space to disembark the units out of line of sight still. So, like you're saying, I think assuming it'll just force Curie to shoot the raiders because he knows that he can't charge them. So he really will have to focus most of his shooting on removing those screens.
Oh yeah, and guys, I think the first time ever in Alpha League there is no Psychic phase this match at all. So both players have no excuse for running out of time.
Yeah. Hawk asks, random TTS question, how do they make the auras different colors? That's due to an external service called Battlescribe to TTS. If you use the Battlescribe app to write your lists and then go to battlescribe2 tts.com, there is or .net, sorry, I think. You can go ahead and input your list there and through a variety of other mods, which you can find by going to the Alpha League Discord, which you can also find by doing this command, TTS disco.
We're gonna write a guide for it for next unit of Alpha, by the way.
Yes,
So,
there are a variety of different resources and stuff in there, and people that can help you out to make your list. But effectively, if you make the list using Battlescribe and with the appropriate website to help you out, you can get your list scripted, all your models scripted in such a way that you can create circles and auras and all that stuff using your numpad on your keyboard. It's really, really helpful for situations like this.
it's so useful. It just makes your games like 5 times quicker as well, because you're not measuring like everything out.
And it's also
make
helpful
less
because
mistakes
it
with
shows when
as
units
well.
are in or out of coherency, which is neat.
See, for my real life games, I want to get like someone that has a 3D printer and just do like clear discs, the aura ranges, and put them on the bottom as my models now. So 6-inch auras like TTS, basically.
All right, 3 of the intercessors have gone down on the bottom side due to the Cerberus Raiders doing their firepower there. That's a really decent start, to say the least.
Oh yeah, that's pretty grim.
Scorpius Disintegrator now being measured out. I'm going to go ahead and put on the volume for the players so we can hear what they're saying.
Next, he is going to fire Faramite Cannon and Missile Launcher into the Deathwing Terminators in the front, the Lightning Claws.
All right, Lightning Claws are going to get it, it seems.
No, I take it back. I'm going to shoot the shooty ones in the back.
Okay, he's shooting the shooting ones.
And he'll fire his Heavy Stubber into these Assault Intercessors over here. Okay. Yep, 36-inch range.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, you're good.
Cool. So let's
Seems
start
like the
with,
right call.
Faramite Cannon
The
first.
lightning claws ones aren't going to be doing much for a little bit,
So we are hitting
and
a
the
3.
shooting ones have potential to hurt him.
Yep.
Reroll Belisarius.
Also,
And
I
that'll
would
be one
say,
extra
so
because we overloaded save
I guess it's the bottom.
I need a
That
4 to
unit
wound
is
you
probably
because of the
18
inner
inches
circle,
away
right?
from the Terminator, so that they won't be charged next turn.
No.
And then the ones that have kind of
That is
screened out the
painful.
objective and scored the engage
Okay,
points,
Missile Launcher next.
those will be the ones that will use the stratagem to fall back when charged.
2 shots in Missile Launcher. Hitting on 3s.
To be fair, the other Raiders are just
One
kind of
extra
out of
for save
range
checks. And this is also
of
winning on
anything
4s because of
particularly
the inner
lethal.
circle. 2 wounds, AP2.
4 ups.
Okay. D3 damage. That'll be 3 damage.
All right, that
Yeah,
kills off
Terminator.
one of the
Oh, that was the one in
ranged
the back.
Terminators.
No.
Sadly, the wound rolls for the other cannon didn't work out so well.
Okay, and then the Heavy Stubber into these Assault Intercessors over here.
Not likely to do much.
So 9 shots. Hitting on 3s. Reroll Belisarius.
Belisarius Call doing what he
And-
does
and you
best.
see
3
the,
extra hits here.
6s. Yep.
And he's a
This is
wound on
where it
3
just
with
gets
Strength
disgusting.
Cool. So 7 wounds, AP zip.
That does kill one
Kills
of
one.
them.
2 damage.
It's worth
Okay,
mentioning that the bombing run did end up
Stubbers-
killing and
come on,
wounding.
Stubbers don't kill anything.
Blade
That
Guard.
was amazing.
Yeah. And mech shooting at its finest.
Cool. Guess you
That's
can't further
Mechanicus
Missile
even know how to
Launcher.
make like a machine gun in the 41st millennium.
Okay, that's fine. He's going to split fire 3 ways. Faramite into the Deathwing Terminators in the back. Missile Launcher into the Terminators in the front. And Heavy Stubber into the Assault Intercessors over here.
Forget your
Okay.
fusion
So
pistols with the
Faramite
power of
cannon
1,000
first.
suns. We've just
You don't
got a
have any
machine
wounded
gun and
Terminators,
we're going
right?
to kill Marines with it.
So here's the Faramite. I'll reroll a Belisarius. Okay, 3 hits. Needing 4s to wound. 2 wounds, AP3.
4 up and vulnerable from Azrael.
You got it.
Very nice.
And then the Missile Launcher.
And just to clarify,
6 shots this time.
the
Hitting on 3s.
Fuselage doesn't just pick an aura to turn off; it turns off all auras. So
Quite a
that's
few
why
extra hits.
Curie has not gotten any
Ooh,
And this is
apothecary rolls.
strength 8.
Yeah.
So wound on 4s, inner circle.
And we're going to see a lot more of
Two
that
wounds,
in 9th edition with books. We've got it in Death Guard, we've got it in Dark
Yeah,
Angels.
excellent.
Now,
Nice
of course.
saves.
Okay, and then the Missile Launcher.
Yeah, it does seem like a new trend that's been coming
Sorry,
out.
Heavy
Ways to
Stubber,
turn off
into the
rerolls.
Intercessors.
Heavy Stubbers
pretty
with the
powerful.
intercessors.
Reroll Belisarius here.
All
Looks like
hits.
4 extra
4
hits. We got 4
explosions.
6s here. Yeah. And wound on 3.
Wow, that
10.
Heavy Stubber's doing work. It killed another 2 of those
Wow.
intercessors.
Yeah,
Okay,
with like the core
Um,
of the hit, 6 is exploding, they actually just like weight of fire from
Mhm.
Stubbers becomes like insane. So you got to fail 3
Okay,
of 6 or something,
next
right?
let's find.
Yeah, that was a little below
Belisarius.
average in terms of the
I'm gonna
saves, but
wanna
not by
have 4 of
much.
them shoot at the attack bikes.
All
and
right, here
one
comes
of
the big
them
one.
Shoot at the Deathwing Terminators in the back.
Okay.
Notice the placement of this Iron Strider here is just within Belisarius Call's range, specifically to get the
Okay,
rerolls
1
on the rest
CP
of the
for Belisarius
Battlestarry.
to wound, and 2 CP for the Wrath of Mars.
All right, so down to 6 CP here
So
for
first,
our
let's
blue
shoot
player
at
Lockjaw.
attack bikes, 4 autocannons at them. Use 6
Yep. So
shots.
mortal wounds on 6s to wound, and
yeah.
did he spend 1 for +1 to wound as well?
Yes.
Belisarius.
Yeah.
So
Rerolling
mortal
with
wounds on
Belisarius.
5s with the exploding 6s.
Oh,
It's
man.
pretty brutal.
Extra hits. And these should be wounding on 3. 8
2
strength
because of
plus-
+1 to wound.
Excuse me. 2's doing.
2 to wounds.
Okay, that is.
Admech has no rerolls to wound
15
ever, which is
plus
interesting.
5 mortal
Do
wounds.
they need
Yeah,
them?
They don't.
Yeah.
And they're dead.
Boom.
And then
So
one
that's what we were
autocannons
talking about,
into
right?
Terminators,
Like Curie did
hitting
not
targets.
hide them. He probably could have put them
Reroll
behind the
plus
wall a bit more.
2 extra hits
um,
from safeguards.
you know,
And this will wound on
Trading
4
them
for
turn
inner
1
circle.
for nothing could honestly
Oh,
be one of
no.
the plays of the game.
One mortal wound.
Curie regrets at the end, honestly.
And a failed
good
save.
on
So
the
that is
save,
going to
so
kill another
taking one.
Terminator.
Sure.
So that could have gone better on the Terminators, but it did
Um,
wipe out the multi-meltas, keeping those Ballistari safe probably for the rest of the game if they are don't get targeted by the Inceptors.
Keeping his while we stand right next to the Ballistari safe as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this disintegrator all the way in the back is going to want to fire all of his big
Yeah,
guns at
gotta
the
say that's
Deathwing Terminators in the
not
front,
not
and
what
he'll
Curie
fire
wants to see
his,
right now.
Heavy stubber into the intercessors.
All
over
right. Now this does not have
there. Okay,
any
let's start with
rerolls.
the Faramite first, hitting on 3s.
Yeah, I think on his canonical he actually got a 6. I think that's like
And
one of the
no
first
extra hits.
dice rolls
And
we
wounding
saw.
on
I think
4s because of
6
inner
is like
circle.
past morale and he just
Just one
decided
wound.
to keep it. Like
4 up.
turn 1 because he
Good.
doesn't really need anything. He doesn't like
Okay,
need,
missile launcher.
like Shroud Storm or
3 shots.
like reroll ones to hit right
Hitting
now,
on 3s.
or reroll ones to
And
hit in
wounding on
combat,
4s.
like electric sign. So I think he was just like, I'm just gonna
AP2.
keep that like
Four.
turn 1.
Good.
All right. Yeah, the Terminators are just shrugging off a
Heavy
lot of
stubber
fire
into the
here.
assault intercessors.
Now for the Assault Intercessors, the poor things. They've historically
one
not been doing
autocannon.
well.
8 hits, 3 to wound, 4 wounds, AP zip.
All right. Wow, it kills
one
another one.
Cool.
There's a serious morale issue here now.
Okay, then I have this Dune Rider here.
Oh no. Now, it's not like the Dune Rider has a lot of shooting, but it does have some shooting. At least a good 12, at least a hot 12 shots. It's not going to necessarily do much, but with the way that he's been
call.
rolling for the Intercessors, Curry might lose a squad here.
What do you think about this Dune Rider shooting?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no.
This is a lot of damage for Darkness taking turn 1. Like,
Mhm. Now, it is mostly units that are not inner circle. Like, the list has a bigger mix of a variety of different wings going on here, which I think would be more powerful with the new codex. But in this case, like Lockjaw is picking on those units that are killable. He's doing the shoot what you can kill strategy here, which is a good one.
Yeah. Exactly. Get rid of the upset. Like,
Yeah. Now, mind you, everything's OBSEC if you look at it from a certain point of view.
Oh, yeah.
But
get that, like Space Marines. Rights of war. Rights if I win on primary.
Or, if your enemy's dead, they can't contest objectives. So,
And we wound on 3s,
wounding on 3s, decent roll.
so 6 wounds.
Another one dies.
I'll
That's
take
the
him out.
end of the squad.
Okay, I think that is gonna be my turn.
Wow.
And we
Powerful
just
start.
mentioned the bomb state kill a Blade Guard. And
Yeah, and wounded another.
Okay, and we did another, yeah.
No.
So,
I'm to shoot.
it's worth mentioning, the Archaeocopter can, in fact, shoot things. It does have a few guns. Another 12 shots they can shoot. And it's an interesting choice at this point, because although...
the plane is going to shoot at these assault intercessors.
yeah, I was going to say, that makes the most sense, because suddenly Samael either has to reposition to be safe, or is going to have to rely on the Blade Guard veterans keeping him alive for the rest of the game.
Reroll 1 for the cannibal.
Oh, he did get
I bet he's
rerolling
o-
ones for the
Oh, he
cannibals.
did. Okay.
He's like almost tempted to
Five.
charge in the infiltrators.
That
at the
kills
bottom.
one more.
He could charge and like do some move block. It'd be interesting.
Wait a second,
But
I can actually fire
He
this
doesn't need to.
No, he doesn't
No, he
need to
doesn't.
charge, and it could put him at potential risk. If he charges
long as he,
badly,
like-
so.
Yeah, as long as he like positioned himself well,
Mhm.
he could probably pull it off.
Either way, it's just so many 2+ saves.
Choosing what to do with the Cerberus Raiders. It'd be interesting to see what Lockjaw chooses to shoot here with this unit.
I'm gonna have one of them shoot at this. This guy is gonna shoot your intercessors, and the other 5 are gonna shoot at the same.
Oh, he's one lucky raider into that lone intercessor. The rest of
yeah, he doesn't like the one intercessor isn't gonna do anything. He might as well shoot at it for fun, but it can't see Samael, so he might as well put the rest of them into Samael for fun.
And wounding on a 4.
Good wound, but it's a save, so nothing happens to the intercessor.
Okay, and then the pistol at Samael should be.
Oh right, the sergeant has his own gun, doesn't he?
5 on Samael, right?
The Archaeo revolver.
Okay, 3 to hit, 4 to wound.
Mm-hmm.
With strength 5. Okay.
Admech have the best names for weapons because no one can pronounce half of them.
Save. Samael's fine.
Everyone forgets the protocols because they do different things when they're in different ranges on and stuff.
Yeah, they're not exactly intuitive.
Okay, so 3 to hit Samael.
Good hits.
And 5 to wound.
Okay, and wounds but no mortals.
Yeah.
So these should be a bunch of easy 2-up saves. Does take a wound on Samael, however. Tickle, tickle, tickle.
All right. Yeah, I think that's my whole turn. Could charge the assault intercessors and get a heroic intervention. I don't think I'm interested in that.
Determining whether or not anything's worth charging.
Okay, yeah, that is my turn, Curie.
That's smart. I thought he was actually going to
charges.
charge when he was measuring, but yeah.
Alright.
There's no reason for him to charge.
Okay, morale on the one guy left alone in that intercessor squad is fail. He runs 2. That's 2 out of 3 intercessor squads just removed. The Meltas as well. That's a stellar first turn considering what could happen normally.
Okay, cool.
Exactly what you wanted.
He's almost thinking he could have played grinded down at this point.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're right. Almost. That's some really good shooting. So stand things off. We've got engaged on all fronts for 2 points. And that's about it for Lockjaw right now. Currently sitting at 12 points right now.
Samael is going to give Chapter Master rerolls to himself.
Oh, Samael's going on the offensive, it seems like.
Yeah, he's got to hit back hard here. Like, he can't take that for like another turn, like for sure. Like.
The pants! Exclamation mark lists, if you want to go ahead and get the lists.
That was a brutal shooting phase.
Yeah, that was insane.
Turn 1, long deployment, and you picked up 3 attack bites, 2 units of intercessors, a Blade Guard veteran, and a couple of Terminators. That was great. Like, you do not normally see that, turn 1.
No.
On this deployment.
Especially with this deployment. Like, there are so many places to hide. You can practically hide an entire elite army fairly easily in this deployment. But, Curry decided to go very ballsy, and we'll see whether or not that ends up working out for him. He still does have Inceptors. He still has 3 multi-meltas, although we have a pretty good feeling we know where they're going. There are a variety of other units on the table still that are more than capable of taking entire armies on their own. So Curry still has a more than fighting chance, but that was a brutal first shot. Especially wiping out those multi-meltas turn 1 is harsh. The Raiders being able to move up as far as they have practically neutered Curry's ability to get domination turn 1. It's going to be a tough fight.
You don't redeploy the Terminators, do you?
Homing Beacon, I think, is the only way to do it.
Access to the.
I think Samael can get if he pulls back with the Raiders. If Samael advances onto this objective.
Death Watch.
He could use Samael to effectively head off the retreat of the Cerberus Raiders, but again, that's an 8-point swing if Samael dies.
Sure, that's fine.
Since he's a while we stand, we fight target, and also assassinate. Exactly. He can't afford to put those characters that he wants to be aggressive with out there to be aggressive with, which is a bad thing. It's not where you want to be. Alright, these Blade Guard veterans are going to move forward into cover, giving themselves effectively +2 to their armor save with their shields. It's going to make them very difficult to remove, for most armies anyway. And they're going to try to charge the Cerberus Raiders. They will likely fail, because that's just what Cerberus Raiders do. And Samael has opted to go into the rest of the army to keep himself safe. A wise choice, I think. We were talking earlier about whether or not he would trust the Blade Guard veterans with his life, and the answer is apparently no.
Yeah. So he'll definitely just make him burn the 2 CP on that fallback, which is fine. Just make him spend the CP. The only thing is that, he'll be hidden, probably. He might want to move the Blade Guard a little bit more, but the chickens and, the strength of Blade Guard, right, is their invulnerable save. But the chickens being able to do mortal wounds will just absolutely pick up the Blade Guard if they can see them still.
Yeah.
Interestingly, though, because of the runes in the Admech player's deployment zone, the tank and the chickens can't go that way. They can't fit through there. So they will have to go around if they eventually lose line of sight to some stuff. So Curie can kind of play around with the angles if he abandons that side. But certainly the center objective there that he needs to keep grabbing for domination will continue to be pulverized by the shooting of the Balstari and the Disintegrator.
Yeah, and it's not just one Disintegrator, it's 2 Disintegrators. And that's, with Belsari's call rerolls, apparently that seems to do some work. Domination's going to be very hard
definitely.
to pull off for more than a couple of turns before the army starts looking really thin. You can't afford to take a lot of losses. And it's also worth mentioning that this is our Archaeocopter. As, you know, frail and flimsy as it can be, it does have access to the hard-to-hit. And, like, yeah, the multi-meltas are probably going to have to go into it to shoot it down, or potentially the Deathwing Terminators. But if this thing somehow survives, and Samael charges it, and somehow doesn't kill it, if that Archaeocopter survives, it probably won't, that could be devastating as well for the Dark Angels. So that's definitely a priority this turn for them. Additionally, they need to keep the characters alive, and let's just take a look again at their secondaries. Yeah, they need to bring it down. So they still need to aim for vehicles, and really, they don't have that many more tank hunters left over. This is a weird one.
The angle on the Disintegrator, that's on the opposite side of the one with the chickens, it's a pretty tough angle for Curie to get at. He would have to push the bikers up really far to get that angle. So, barring him going for that play, the only other vehicle that is really screaming "shoot me" is that flyer right there.
Mm-hmm. It's also worth mentioning that if the attack bikes move up forward enough to get that angle, there is an entire Scorpius Dune Rider full of Electro Priests on the other side of the wall, ready to countercharge anything that goes there. And the same can be said for the other objective on the other side of the map. There's another Scorpius Dune Rider right here, outside of line of sight, and unshootable, really, that is more than capable of just unleashing hell on that side of the map. Interestingly enough, we're into the shooting phase. The Terminators have largely stood where they are, including the melee ones, just kind of screening out there. What do you think of this choice, guys?
I think it's fine. Like, the closer you get to Admech, the more powerful it can become, like, oddly, because they'll all of a sudden you open up, like, more sort of, like, objects and everything. So, I'm guessing he's going to kill the plane this turn, so that'll be the
Has to.
Gone.
The plane must die.
And after that, like,
Go into these
gonna
raiders
really
for
struggle
Storm
to
Bolters, and then the last
get
Storm
rid
Bolter
of
with
the
the plane
Terminators.
along with both missiles.
So I think he's
in
just
the
playing it
crack
safe.
profile.
Like, right. Maybe
Yeah.
could have
Two Storm
got a
Bolters,
bit
White
better
Raiders,
LOS
one
behind the
Storm
big
Bolter,
elf
Purple
with
Raider, and then
Terminators,
two
but
Storm Bolters.
other than that, I think
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yep.
Now, it's worth
Three
mentioning that the
Storm
Apothecary
Bolters
did bring
into
back the
the
Deathwing Terminator that died last
Raiders,
turn.
heading on
So
twos, they did
both
not
squads are
move.
back up
I
to
thought
full.
you said
Rolling
two
ones.
Storm Bolters into the plane. 2 to the plane and 1 to the Raiders.
I said.
The other thing is that once this plane goes down,
One in-
the army will go back to being as resilient and durable as it usually is. It'll have its Feel No Pain auras, it'll have its Forp Invuln. So removing the plane is a no-brainer.
Yeah, well, again, he has to remove the plane. If the
plus
plane
one to
is
hit
not
from
removed,
my tactic,
that
they did
is
not move
going
that
to be
unit.
game over for
That's
Curry.
right. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, sure. So that's
So
8
it will
wounds
go
on
down
to
this
the
turn.
White
And if it
Raiders.
doesn't,
This
I
is
mean,
AP0,
at least it was a
right?
nice and fast finals, but
Okay.
it's not the kind of game we want to see.
So kills
Sure,
one.
so that's 3 damage. That'll kill one of these guys. Okay.
Alright, one of the Raiders goes down. Wait, what?
Storm Bolter into purple.
Okay, purple's taking a Storm Bolter to the face.
All hit.
Choose to hit.
Twos, all wound.
All wound, alright. These guys are only toughness 3.
-1 to hit because of hard to hit.
Into purple. Raider.
The toughness free, but the free wounds each.
Oh, this is, yeah, slight
really
confusion there.
frustrating to deal with.
One takes 2 wounds. I can't believe these boys have 3 wounds apiece. It's insane.
Storm Bolter into the plane, hitting on 3s.
They're super doggos.
Rolling
They're super
ones.
robot dogs. Like,
2 hits.
those
Okay.
ones get
Down
dogs.
fives.
Like, look at
One
the
wound into the
Look at
plane.
them.
Plane takes a wound. It's down to 9. It's a start.
4.
Oh, never mind.
Right, crack misses.
All 4 hits. Wounding on 3s.
Oh, this could be the end of it already.
I will CP that last one.
He's CP re-rolling the 2.
Yeah, okay. That's 3 at AP3.
Never mind, he's not.
Okay.
All of them go through. That's 3d6 damage. It's only
Damage.
6!
Okay, 6 damage to the plane.
Do I want to reroll that? No, I'm not going to reroll that.
Okay.
You throw a lot
It's-
of fire.
This was expected, though. At this point, he could put in...
Let's move on to Samael. All of the shots are going to go into the Service Raiders.
Hence the chapter mastering rerolls himself.
The purple ones.
He could definitely shoot really, really hard with the Twin Storm Bolters and the Mastercrafted Plasma Cannon.
Let's
It's
go
a
with
lot.
The Twin Storm Bolter. Heading on
And
2s,
you can just
rerolling
charge this
because
plane and chop it
reroll
up in
because of
combat.
his own
so
ability.
It's like completely fine.
Wounding on 3s. 5 wounds.
Alright, this is just the Storm Bolters. It's likely to kill off one of the Raiders that's been wounded already.
2 damage will finish off this gentleman.
Okay.
Alright. D3 shots in the Plasma Cannon. It's blast, so that's max.
Minimum of
that's
3.
shots.
Yep, must go off. Alright, now the Plasma Cannon is shooting in,
Overcharge.
re-rolling everything because
Hitting
of...
on 2s, it's always overcharged.
Oof, that's a mortal wound.
Oh, I see. There's not
And
even
no
a
wounds.
Oh,
No wounds!
Mastercrafted
Not good.
Plasma Cannon.
Oof!
Okay, sure.
Alright. Azrael will put both robots into the Raiders. So bolt gun first, hitting on 3s.
Yeah, we're seeing the returning
Plasma hitting on 3s.
clinking fire,
Hits,
but I
wounding on
don't think it's
2s.
going to be anywhere near as effective
Wound
as like the
84.
epic here. Like
2 damage.
Okay. Yeah, 6+ invulnerable.
on these raiders,
Nope,
the,
that's
the
2
other,
damage.
like the other
Yeah.
unit, like on the other flank, is probably just not even going to
Go to the Blade Guard.
like too
All
much
5,
this turn.
I'll put a crack grenade and then 4 bolt pistols.
Okay, sure.
Start with the crack grenade, hitting on 3. Hits. Wounding on 8. Wounds, AP2.
Yep, roll for damage.
Just the 1
Sure.
damage.
You got it, 1 damage.
And then yeah, the plane dies in
And,
combat, so
4
that's
bolt
fine.
pistols.
Well, he
Three
still hasn't
hits.
shot the
That's 3
multi-meltas either,
wounds.
so...
3 wounds, AP1.
Okay,
I'm
5
getting.
to save.
I mean, yeah.
Nope, that's 3 damage.
Alright, then there's another Cerberus Raider gone.
You gotta get rid of these roboducks. At least one
Let's
unit.
go the
needs
Blade
to
Guard Ancient into
roll this turn.
the Fuselage just because I have it.
Okay.
Hitting on a 4. Wounding on a 5.
Okay, grenade misses.
And then the
Or whiffs.
Craving Apothecary, same thing. 2 shots, not supercharged. On 4s.
Plasma from the Apothecary.
And 4s.
No wounds. Alright.
Alright. Let's go for the attack bikes. All 3 Rider.
Alright, so all the multi-meltas are going into the Scorpius Dune Rider.
This Dune Rider.
Yep, makes sense.
Yep, makes perfect sense.
Oh, no,
30
one's
inch
there.
range.
Oh, 30, of course, all Dark Angels. So
Yep,
30
turn
inch
1.
range.
Turn 1, they
Yeah,
get that extra 6 inches.
And
So
what
6
about
shots.
what about the bolt rifles? Bolt guns.
Same target.
Alright, everything's going into that Dune Rider. Bolt guns and everything.
So start with the Meltas. 3s rerolling. Everything hits.
Meltas hit,
Why
wounding on
do they
3s.
roll everything?
Because I gave them to them from Azrael's Chapter Master rerolls.
That's right. Okay, I gotcha. Sure.
I will CP one of those.
Oof.
Yeah, that's better.
Alright, well, that was not great rolling, but with the CP reroll.
Yeah, that's right. Go ahead, roll for damage.
Oh, no!
Only 7 damage.
You got it.
That's not enough to kill the Dune Rider, not even close. Alright, now for the
Good roll.
bolters.
And then the Stormbolt, all the bolters.
You're rolling everything, because
Well, the bolts somehow
Azrael.
do more damage.
Yeah, like the Meltas have really badly whiffed.
1 wound.
Oh no, that's
1 wound to the bolter, and surprisingly does the wound.
Hey, 1 wound.
So we're down to 4 wounds left on the Scorpius Dune Rider down there, which puts it within range of being
So
killed,
charge
but it is
phase,
still
and I
alive.
was going to charge the Archaeopter.
Archaeopter's being charged.
Until attack priest like Coolidge for the wall and just reverse it. Or use back
Not
and
likely.
reverse.
But I can fully see Lockjaw thinking maybe I just keep this hidden for the rest of the game, so that way it
Got
can't
5
be brought
charges,
down.
5 attacks on the
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah, that's a very fair play.
Ones.
It's really frustrating when you have a bad, you're on the receiving end of a tough turn 1, and then
And
you
strength 8 on the charge. so wounding on
can't
3s.
punch back. You roll 3
No!
ones.
Oh my lord.
Oh,
The Archaeopter didn't get wounded by Samael. It's still alive.
Because I can't
Oh,
kill
you're
him.
joking.
Not joking.
Oh no, no way.
wow. So I just spoke that into existence. That's not, yeah,
those
like,
rolls are miserable.
when you are on the receiving end of a tough turn and then you just roll like that, it's really demoralizing.
I was gonna say, something else only got like a power sword, right? So he's not like super good at like killing.
Right, but he was wounding on 3s, and he rolled 3 1s and a 2
Oh.
with the Raven Sword. Like, oh, that should have killed him.
Okay, so I think the plane's at middle bracket with 3 wounds, or is it lower bracket?
should be middle bracket. But, like, okay, now that this thing's still alive, if you can use the turn off auras thing more than once a game, this is where things are going to be a little bit gross.
So D3 attacks.
Oh, plane hits Samuel.
No, the plane gets 3 attacks. Let's see if any of them hit.
D3 attacks.
No hits. Thank goodness. Wait, this thing has a weapon skill of 5?
Yep.
Why is that even allowed?
Cerberus Raiders lost 3 frames.
Because
They have
Pierre.
the data tether.
So, the Blade Guard veterans didn't even bother to declare a charge on the Cerberus
7
Raiders.
leadership, so 4 or higher, I have a problem. 5 or higher.
That was probably a mistake.
And the Cerberus Raiders are okay.
Model, so I'll just skip that roll if that's okay with
And
you.
Fury just forgot
And
about
then
that,
go
which is
around
rough.
phase.
So it's your turn.
Alright, Lockjaw, turn 2. Top of turn 2.
For primaries, I score 10 points for 2 objectives.
Yup.
Okay.
That should put him up to
And I don't think
22.
you scored any points last turn. I don't think so.
No, I did not.
Okay, cool. So new turn brings us to new.
Yeah,
game.
so top of turn 2, guys. 10 points on primary for
Let's roll
Adnick,
for my campaigns.
and 2 points for engage.
I will
Scored
take, I'll
on
use
this turn.
LSR
One.
to turn that into a
Yep.
2 and a 4.
So, currently sitting at 22.
Just the
By the way, Bingo Boy, thank you for
Okay,
the
fine,
tier 1
and,
sub for 38 months. And yeah, heck yeah, Mechanicus.
Okay, so my Fusillade.
Yeah, when I was debating between playing Admech or White Scars in this current season of Alpha, and I gotta say, like, when things go right with Admech, it feels great. Like,
You
you are
really
just
go right. it's like
yeah,
when you
like
Eldar in 8th edition and you just like blow up 1,000 points turn 1, you'd be like, that's good.
yeah.
You know,
When
it's,
things go right, you are just
everything just went
nuking
right.
units. You can't get charged. You know, you're screening out. You're shutting them down. You turn on auras instead of, and then when things go bad, like, they do go bad for you. But
As is the case with a lot of shooting armies currently, but the Admech are definitely an S tier army alongside Sisters, Dark Angels. Like, they are a very strong army played properly. And this Archaeopter being alive for a second turn probably means it's going to pivot, land somewhere in this bottom corner, and then turn off a whole bunch of auras for a second turn. If it doesn't do that and decides to fly off the board instead for a turn, just to keep it alive, that's not a bad idea either. Have it come back another turn.
I mean, it's even more insulting than that. You can literally like fly it off the board and bring it back next to Cole and repair it.
Oh. And the engine seer wherever, and she's wherever she is.
Cole, the engine seer can just like throw spanners up in the air at it and it repairs it.
Yeah, exactly. Emergency repairs. Shoot your oil gun. The oils will do the work. Alright, so right now he's currently measuring out the auras here. It seems like instead he's going to go for a second brutal turn when it comes to removing auras and stuff like that. That seems like it's a really smart choice. Additionally, Lockjaw is looking at a demanding board presence right now. The Terminators didn't move anywhere, which means, you know, considering how slow they are, that's a full turn where their slow movement didn't get them to where they might need to be, which would be on objectives. Which, because of domination and because of the way the primary works, he kind of needed to be on. Curry's in a very spicy position right now.
If you move the Terminators forward, you could have potentially been looking at charge from Priest. And Logjaw's in a strong position, so you probably would have gone for that as well.
Yeah, 100%. I would have probably been a little bit more confident with the Priest's charge in some respects, but I can see how that might be a problem. Now that I remember that they have mortal wounds on top of the D3 damage weapons that they have, yeah, Terminator Squad probably goes down to that real easy.
I mean, even if they don't go down, he's literally locked into his deployment zone at that point. So, like,
Yeah,
turn
100%.
turn 3, no,
Oh, bike's in hover mode now. And by bike, I mean copter. And
yeah,
it
I don't
seems
know
the
about
Deathwing
the
Terminators
priest
have been
play,
bombed.
though. The thing is with the priest play, like, currently, Curie has no way to charge and gain extra movement because as soon as he tries to charge, the Raiders fall back. So you don't want to give him something that he can charge into to get extra movement from, and that's what the priest would be doing. Additionally, like, the priests with 21 attacks, like, they hit on 3s, and it's just really streaky. Like, the priests are really good for picking up a 3-man intercessor squad, but going into Deathwing with Feel No Pains, if they had them, there's no guarantees that you pick up that whole unit, and they then are really fragile. So you want priests to pick up scout units early to get to that invuln, or you want them to finish off a unit that you've already damaged a lot with shooting.
Yeah, and that seems to be the play that Lockjaw's going for by keeping those Doom Riders hidden behind line of sight as much as possible and just ready to countercharge. And also keeping the Doom Riders out of line of sight keeps bring it down points that he's giving up a little bit lower. He's currently measuring
Yeah.
charge ranges from the Dune Riders, though, so it seems like he might get a little bit crazy with these priests.
Yeah, I mean, I think the proper play would be Curie had a non-turn essentially, and just taking advantage of that and pounding away with one more round of shooting before you come out to meet him is just, it's too inviting. I don't know. I don't think risking it.
Oh, these are the Jazz Hand guys. These are the Corpuscari, not the Fulgurites. Does that change things?
They're shooty as well, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they are. So they are Square. Yeah, I mean, they are still a counterpunch for him. They're still serving the same role. They're just not the end zone. But I don't know. I still wouldn't throw him away too early. He's going for the killing blow.
Oh, out they come. We got 10 of them popping out into the ruins here. So we got some snail friends down there. Although these guys don't have snails on their backs, which makes me sad. They do, however, look like they're having a great time. They're looking like they're moving in for a hug. I kind of love this model, actually. Sorry. Give me a second. It's a serious professional cast. It's the finals. I'm very sorry. Oh, great model. Anyway, they are now not too far away from these Deathwing Terminators. My eyeball says it's like a 9-inch charge or something like that. One thing that would make these priests maybe a bit stronger would be something with Prime Hermeticon as a warlord trait, but we don't have that in this list as far as I can tell. Let me just triple check that I'm correct there, because I don't like being wrong.
It's not in there.
Yeah, so that's not a thing that's happening here. The Corpuscari themselves are meant to be a flexible unit that are capable of putting out a decent amount of, like, Tesla damage, effectively.
Yep.
Do they get any additional other benefits? Like, can they put out mortal wounds using this stratagem, or...?
No, I don't believe so. It's unfortunate that they have 0 AP, and they also have, which 0 AP into the Terminators is just going to bounce off.
Yeah.
They'll have to make their charge and then hit in combat to it. I mean, they you know, assuming Curie rolls 0 1s, like that Terminator squad could just completely eat all of them.
Yeah, these are definitely not a charging unit. Glarg says in the chat that they don't want to charge, they want a Wrath of Mars and just shoot them. And I think that that's probably, like, that's the Mortal Wound strat, so that makes sense. Especially because of the sheer number of hits that they can get. Especially if Call just moves up a little bit to give them that reroll aura. That could be pretty nuts.
Just not having the auras up for the Ravenwing Apothecary or for the old Blade Guard Ancient rules, which just gave the 5-up Feel No Pain. Not having that against the Mortal Wounds is, like, really killer. The thing with Admech is it does feel like your Wrath of Mars is always being competed for by multiple units. In this case, I think Glarg would be right that the Corpuscari would be the target. But the Ballistari, like, you know, their autocannons at -1 AP, that's not where the damage is coming through. The damage is coming through the Mortal Wounds Wrath of Mars strat. So
and there are
both
a
competing.
lot of shots. Each one of those guys is putting out 3 shots apiece.
4 shots.
So that's 30 shots. If they get rerolls, that's 30 shots with rerolls, where 6s get 2 extra additional hits, and then they can wound on 3s, 4s in this case, because of Inner Circle, but every 6 becomes a mortal wound due to Wrath of Mars. Glarg states they can also get AP2 with the strat, which actually suddenly makes those Terminators very vulnerable to that level of shooting.
Oh yeah. Wrath of Mars,
Alright, and this is also an important turn for Glarg. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, no, Wrath of Mars could definitely tip that damage over without the Feel No Pains, for sure.
Yeah. It's also worth mentioning that this is an important turn for Lockjaw and his movement. One of the reasons why the Corpuscari are also heading out here is to screen the Inceptors out as much as possible, I believe. Being able to put out those bodies to make sure the Inceptors can't get in anywhere is vital. And by the look of things, that seems to be exactly what everyone's doing. We've got units moving into cover. We've got units moving around just to make sure that, you know, there's bubbles set up everywhere. And from my measuring eyeball, at least, there's going to be precious few places where those Inceptors can land and actually get valuable shots.
Yeah, he might just leave them until turn 3, though.
He might.
Yeah.
He might, but he has to make sure that he gets the kills he needs turn 2 then to make sure that turn 3 there's enough space to do it. Like, the Cerberus Raiders need to practically all die. The Electro Priest need to die. The Copter has to die. Because
here's the thing, though. If Curie doesn't, like, move out, like, of his deployment zone, like,
that's a win for the
you can
Admech.
just spend CP and blow this Copter up when it dies to do, like, bucket ton of mortal wounds to everything around it.
Yep.
So he's gonna have to think about that and move away from it, which is fine because I think if the priests don't do so well here, we're gonna see the Terminators moving forwards, looking for charges on them and the Raiders, but the Raiders are gonna fall back obviously, but still get the charges for the priests, right? Oh no, it would just have to be in the priests.
Yeah. Mind you, the priests are doing fine, and the wording on their guns, is it new wording? Is it unmodified 6s, or is it 6+? I'm actually kind of forgetting at this point, because if it is modified 6s, like I know it is at least in Kill Team, it's hit rolls of 6+. Yeah, okay, so that means that with the additional stratagems and stuff, you can get Teslas on 5s and 6s.
Mm-hmm.
And that works in melee as well. Which is just gross. Yeah, no, there's definitely some potential this turn for Lockjaw to do some serious work. Let's go ahead. So we are currently still in the movement phase. Lockjaw still measuring things out, taking things as precisely as possible. They like the Skatara keywords. You can't give them +1 to hit. Okay, thank you, Curry. Also, you're listening. Get back to your game, you so-and-so.
Go away.
Get out of here. That's cheating, my friend. But okay, they like the Skatara keyword. These are things that we learn here on the channel. This is not a... I'm not a smart man. I don't know every single rule in the game. However, chat seems to, and that's very good. All right, we got the Ballistari moving out.
Like we've just been making a mistake, and IP Curie isn't actually Curie on Twitch. It's someone else, and he's just like, guys, I was just trying to help. This guy.
All right, the Ballistari are moving through the terrain. Are they infantry?
No, they are not.
Then I am curious as to how they are moving through that terrain.
Perhaps they believe that the base is wide enough to fit through that.
Yeah, through the
gap?
doorway. Like, which is still questionable.
No, they actually could. Measuring Eyeball agrees. And they are just tall enough that if they go nose first, they can probably fit. And all of them are in the train now, so they can all see. What they can see, though, is going to be seemingly just Terminators. Lots and lots and lots of Terminators. This is going to be another brutal turn, isn't it? Especially with the Engine Seer right there. They're all within call range. Yeah, this is going to be harsh. Still doing movement. It's an important phase. Every shooting army has a very long movement phase because of how important it is to get the lines of sight and the redundancy on targets that you need to die. It is vital that your movement phase goes correctly. It's the phase in which all the rest of the phases in the game rely on to actually work.
Yeah, then you got to look at like options as well. Like you like one unit can just roll super hard and kill something, and then if the rest of your units like set up to like deal with that, you're like, oh, they've got like another good targets. So you're always looking for options, like various like lanes and fields of fire for everything. Which is exactly what he's doing now with his movement, which is why it's taking a bit of time, and he's looking to screen out the Inceptors as well as best he can, make sure that they've got nothing good to come down on this turn.
Yeah, everything that could be shot is hidden or far away. Even the weak Scorpius Dune Rider is just hiding here in the ruins now, which are line of sight blocking ruins. They're opaque, so there's nothing that can see through them. Yeah, there's not going to be very many shots that the Inceptors will be able to get a handle on at all. Maybe this Disintegrator or this Disintegrator, depending on where the Inceptors could land, but even then, 18 inches is not as long as you'd like it to be sometimes. There's a joke in there somewhere. Alright, Call moving forward, flunking himself right in the middle of the firing line so that way everybody's within those reroll ranges.
Yeah.
Including the Corpus Scari, which we foresaw. This is as was foreseen.
Guiding Tora on a muzzle face is like obscene.
And the funny thing is, this isn't even how his aura is supposed to look like. Like, this is the small size of the aura, so he does have like a little extra range there that that isn't even being shown. So yeah, Call's aura is actually huge, and especially at 9 inches of that Warlord trait, it is pretty great. Now, he did advance to get there, so no shooting from him, but the important thing with Call is getting those auras out. True rerolls to hit back in the day were a big deal, and they still are a very big deal, to the point where Space Marine players have to pay 40 points to get it on one unit at a time. Yeah. Call just gives it to everybody around him. He's still exceptionally strong. Oh, he's trying to measure it so that way he can get, just spin your butt, dude. Spin your butt. Lockjaw.
Yep.
Show them what you've got. Alright, he's measuring out those ranges there to make sure that nobody can get in there. So he's got the Vanguard. Moving back. Creating those 9-inch bubbles to make sure that nobody can get in the corner, which is super important here. Now, one unit that is hard to see currently, and that I don't think is going to get hit very hard this turn, is the second unit of Multi-Meltas. They're still going to be on the board by the end of the turn, would be my thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you still got the asset to play with. Like, sure, he could put like a few shots into them, but then they probably just bring less back. So
yeah.
It's like not worth it.
Yeah, it's like playing against Necrons at this point. You have to shoot and kill the unit you intend to shoot.
Mm-hmm. Looking to take this like sort of like bottom flank as opposed to the top. I think he's playing around. I mean, him getting rid of like those 5 interceptors, like on the top flank, like turn 1. Intercessors, just means that he can just like ignore it. Like,
yeah.
You know, there's like you got no obsec here. I've got my robot dogs here to contest the objective or anything else, so it's fine. Like,
the intercessors going down is actually a big deal.
Part of the map right now.
They are the cheapest models in this Dark Angels army, and yet probably the most important.
Yeah.
Excuse me. They are because of the fact that they're OBSEC, but more importantly because they can hit hard enough that they can threaten those dogs. They can threaten the Corpuscari through just sheer weight of dice. They tag and all that good stuff, and without them, suddenly the entire line of Dark Angels is stranded. Like, they need to stay around each other. Like, this castle has to stay close. They have to stay close because of While We Stand We Fight. They have to stay close because the Terminator's the only thing that's keeping them alive. And, yeah, getting their auras turned off for a second turn is going to make that very difficult to do by the end of turn 2.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even know that existed in that mech. I've never seen that before until this game. Like, really clever, nice ability.
Which one?
The turning off auras.
Turn off auras one. I think I thought that existed like in like Dark Angels and New Dark Angels, sorry, and New Death Guard. And I never seen a mech with that before.
Yeah, no, the Archaeocopter effectively got a lot of press when it first came out for that reason alone, and yet, because the real life scene doesn't have all the ability to play that we do, we haven't really seen them pop up until, well, now, really.
I think auras got a lot more important in 9th as well.
Yeah.
Especially the Space Marines, right? Because you do rely on this Apothecary, Chatsmaster, Lieutenant.
A lot of lists rely on these kinds of super strong auras to create an invulnerable core, and without the auras, it's brutally hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Rights of War is arguably the best Space Marine warlord trait.
Best warlord trait, dude. Come on.
It is certainly one of the best warlord traits, and it's worth mentioning that the Dark Angels have their own specific version that if you have OBSEC, you count for 2. And in certain detachments, that's just brutal. Alright, Psychic Phase. This is going to be extremely long and grueling Psychic Phase. Okay, it's over. Let's go ahead and listen to the players go through the shooting phase.
And then I will drop bombs on the Deathwing Terminators.
Bomb drop time?
Stormbolters. So 5 models there. I'll roll 5 dice. And that's 2 mortal wounds to these gents.
Alright, it's 2 mortal wounds, not enough to kill one.
Okay,
but as a start.
Psychic Phase, no Psychic Powers for the clear. And we'll go to shooting phase.
That was his Psychic Phase, the bomb.
Yep, pretty much. It's the Catan phase. We had the Void Dragon first. Give us credit where it's due.
We start with the Corpuscari Electric Priests.
Corpuscari going first. Okay, this is the cool part.
They are all going to shoot at the Deathwing Terminators in the front, and I will pay a CP for to increase the AP on their weapons. I forget the name of the stratagem.
Alright, so AP increased.
AP2 on their gauntlets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So they have 3 shots each, 30 total.
And with full rerolls.
Mode on these Deathwing Terminators in the front. We are hitting on 3s. And rerolling the Belisarius.
Holy
and all 6 just cause 2 extra hits.
So
yeah,
that's 44 hits.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
out of 30 shots.
So wound
Casual 44
That's
hits, yep.
4s.
Okay, these are all AP2.
Oh my god.
Oh, jeez.
13 wounds. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are dead.
Rip.
1 left alive.
Yeah, they went hot.
No Wrath of Mars though.
You didn't need it.
No, I mean it would have killed the squad, but it definitely would have been
Yeah.
overkill.
He's now got Wrath of Mars for the chickens. Like.
Next is Scorpius Disintegrator all the way in the back. He's going to want to fire his Faramite cannon into... Oh, wait a second.
That copter not going down is going to cost Curry something fierce.
Oh, he's at full health because he was the one that I resurrected.
Okay, then let's fire at him first. You're right. Yeah, I do recall that. Oh, wait a minute. He just took mortal wounds from my bombs.
Oh
That's
yeah, he
what
took the
he's
bombs. You're right. You are absolutely correct.
Okay, took a while. It's coming back to us. I guess I'll fire the Ballistari at the Deathwing Terminator squads.
Alright. Ballistari coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
If
Yeah,
he,
let's do that.
like,
Okay, so all the Ballistari
seriously
figures
hurts
should
spoken
have
as
been
Terminator,
Terminators.
it's
Do I want to
not going to be
spend
great for Dark Angels.
It's chicken time. Are we spinning the CP? He's thinking.
Yeah, I'll spend 2 for Wrath of Mars.
Wrath of Mars being used. We're down to
Okay,
3
cool.
CP.
So, 20 shots.
Chickens are going ballistic.
For heavy auto cannon.
Get it!
Cognosauto.
Ballistic!
We were hitting on 3.
Ah, someone stop
One of the
me.
worst jokes on.
Oh my god! Oh, it's already gross. Oh, it's already gross.
Because of inner
I think I'm going to throw up.
All right.
Mortal wounds and 11 saves at AP1.
That's still.
I
Oh,
go through for 2 damage each.
so that's 1, 2. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Dead from
And
the
then
things,
4
and then the mortal wounds are another 4, so that kills off another 1
We were at the CP.
in a bit.
Oh my god, we just said 8
Um,
Terminators get dropped.
8 Deathwing
From 2 units.
Terminators.
Fire this Scorpius Disintegrator.
This is what happens when you don't have your auras. The Arcaptor here is
And wow.
so strong.
No, I think
And now Sammy's out on his own. Actually, the vast majority of the characters are kind of out on their own and are all while we stand, we fights and assassinates. Like, this is not where you want to be.
What do you think, Curie? If I draw this line from this disintegrator to Samael, am I going over this obscuring terrain?
Nope.
I'm clean.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, cool.
Oh, poor
So
Curry.
he will fire.
Yeah, this is not where you want to be.
Do I have range? Yeah.
Okay, we start to look at how he can potentially bring it back. Granted, he'll get like 1 Terminator back next turn. Still got Inceptor. Still
If
three
they're still
attacks.
alive.
Yeah, Faramite cannon to Samael. Everything else into this Terminator over here.
Okay.
Okay, so Faramite first, hitting on 3s. Reroll the Belisarius. And that'll be 1 extra hit.
Doesn't really seem like he has this line of sight, but oh
No,
well.
he does. I've got the top
And
down
you
here.
wound up
If you
It's
go
not
to
the top down. It's the crater. That's the boxes that are
just one
cutting through.
no, even with that,
Fine.
it
Is
seems
it
to work.
vulnerable, right?
Yeah, Iron Halo.
If I put double, if you hit P twice and
Next
go to
the,
the top-down
missile
view,
launch.
like
Everything
there
else
is a
is
straight
right,
line
isn't that what I
that
said?
works.
I think so.
It's not the line. It's like if
Missile
you were
launcher
looking from
into,
the model I'm
Terminators.
thinking.
4 shots.
Like the window itself
hitting on
kind of blocks out.
Reroll Belisarius. And wounding on 4s because of inner circle.
If you look at it from
You
the
got
Dark
an
Angel
extra
side,
Yeah, I see
like
what you're saying.
Did I
Here.
miss a 6?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so I'll make 1 more wound roll.
there's just a big fat container
Thank you
right
for
there.
that. Very curious. 3 wounds, AP2.
That's him dead.
Yeah, doesn't matter what I roll for damage.
But
No,
Okay,
Oof.
cool.
doesn't
So I have
matter.
1 tank left to shoot.
Well, it didn't matter.
No, I didn't.
Samael was not the one that got any kind of hurt on them. The Terminator did die, though.
Versus Ballistari and Disintegrator. Okay.
And just
So
when you
these
thought it
guys
was
are
all over,
protected
we
by,
have
the
another
assaulting
Scorpius
accessories behind
Disintegrator
them, right? I
so
can't
far.
shoot at them.
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure because the blade guard are closer.
Yes, absolutely. But I can shoot at Samael, right?
That's correct.
So maybe we'll just pick him off. You can't see the Terminator. Really can't see anybody but Samael. Oh, this disintegrator will attempt to delete Samael from the galaxy.
I like that. Attempts to delete Samuel. Like he's just getting confident because he's just had like this.
No, he's had an
Okay,
incredible
so Faramite cannon first.
first and second turn. Faramite cannon's rerolling because of Belisarius' call. All hit, plus an additional hit due to the engine seer.
Wounding on 3s. 2 wounds, AP3.
Both pass the invulnerable saves though. That's a good start.
Missile launcher into Samael. Just 1 shot.
It misses.
Reroll that with Belisarius.
It hits. Running on a 2 or 3, sorry. No rerolls though.
Okay, and then the heavy stubber into Samael.
Alright, now for all the heavy stubbers. Deca. Rerolling due to call.
Terrible hit rolls.
Not great hit
I
rolls.
think you get 1 extra hit because of safeguards. And I think it's 4 to wound, strength 5.
Oof. Alright, so Samael lives.
Everything's been great, so that's
Yep.
okay.
That's good.
No, like his shooting phase has already been a success. All of the rest of this right now is just cherries.
Okay, this tank all the way in the back is gonna fire.
Oh, right, and it's worth mentioning that he did get the full
Yes,
15 for the
into
primary.
these attack
Oopsie
points.
daisies.
I
He
don't
should be at
think you can see
27.
This lone Deathwing Sergeant. No, sir. Definitely not. Okay, so this last disintegrator will fire everything into these attack bikes over here. Let's
Oof.
start with the missile launcher.
I'll spend 1 CP and get them over.
I thought we were much later into the game. It's like, why
Jink
can't we have the primary?
has been used. They now have 4 pinball.
We're only at the top of turn 3.
5 shots with the rocket
No
launcher.
rerolls, no extra hits for this guy.
3 hits, reasonable. 3's the wound.
Strength 8, so wound on a 3.
2 wounds, 4 up invulnerable saves due to Jink. 2 saves, easy.
What's coming
Then
back
I'll fire
around
the
at
heavy
least?
stubber.
That's what he needs.
Stubber goes in.
And wounding on 4s, strength 5.
Not bad.
4
Alright.
wounds, 0 AP.
3's the save. 2 wounds go through. The
So
bike
2
is
wounds
down
get
to 2.
Yep.
Not that he cares that much, but
And then he'll fire the Faramite cannon.
2 hits. Wounding on 3's. 2 wounds. 4 up invulnerable save needed. 1 goes through. That's enough to kill 1 of the bikes. That does nothing, effectively. But, you know, at least it forces the Ravenwing Apothecary to now choose between the attack bikes or a Deathwing Terminator to resurrect.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like the
I mean,
Cerberus
part-
Raiders
part of
are...
this
For my
like,
Raiders, I think I
the
only
Terminator is
have
like,
2 of them,
I don't know,
maybe
like,
3. I think
I'm not
4
sure
of
what
these
they
Galvanic
would
rifles
have
have range
done,
attack
like
rifle,
this
so
game.
they'll try to get
Like,
some damage in. Okay, so 4
sure
Galvanic
they-
rifles into the
charge.
attack bikes.
They've just been
8
foot
shots.
slugging up the board like the entire game because the Raiders are just gonna
Hitting on
like run
things.
away as soon as you charge them.
Yeah.
And
He
It's
needed
melee
to like
heavy
go
army.
first, and
Galvanic rifles.
Yeah,
if he had gone
go
first
first,
and
yeah.
shot,
Yeah,
yeah,
so one
go
mortal
shoot,
wound,
go first,
1
shoot
AP0,
off the
1 AP1.
plane so that his auras will be up the
Zero.
rest of the game, and then you
One.
know be rolling big fat 6s on his advance rolls so that his Terminators get to the midboard quickly.
The big
Like,
thing would have
other-
been getting on the objectives fast enough and early enough that the
Mhm.
Cerberus Raiders wouldn't be blocking them.
Yeah. Also, if he'd gone first, he would have moved his intercessors onto the objectives, gotten dominate turn 1.
These 2 Raiders
Mhm.
will shoot at this Deathwing Sergeant over here.
Alright.
Would have been a very different momentum type of game.
0 AP weapon.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
What are you gonna do? Okay, sure. 2 rifles at the Deathwing Sergeant.
Can the
and,
dogs do
guess
it? Can they
1
bring down
at,
this last
the
Terminator?
Blade
Not
Guard.
likely, but it is possible.
just
Fire
2 more
again.
wounds, it's fine.
2 plus armor saves, fantastic. Okay, so first 2 shots at the Blade Guard. 1 hit. That's not a wound. I think we need 5 to wound.
They're T4.
Never mind.
It's an
okay,
easy
and then
save.
2 rifles into the Deathwing over Deathwing.
Alright, the Deathwing Sergeant could die as long as enough hits come in.
And moving on 4s.
Alright. 1
Oh,
lucky
well,
6 is
one
enough.
good.
1 bad roll here
1
could be the end of
AP0,
that Sergeant.
1 AP1
Yep.
and a mortal wound.
AP0. Good. And AP1.
Oh no!
Got him.
That sucks. That's both squads of Terminators wiped out in 1 turn, pretty much.
Yeah, that's a big nail in the coffin. Like right now, like
Well, it means that the characters can't hide anymore, really. They have to hide behind line of sight obscuring stuff, and there's not enough army now left on the Dark Angels
let me
side
take
of
a
the
quick look
field
around
to
and
really
look at
stop
it.
the AdMech from doing whatever they want. And At this point, Curry's trying to look for almost like a moral victory or for some sort of
I
game-breaking level
wouldn't
play.
put it that far. He's still got good assets. He's still got tap bites. He's still got the Lego bets. He's still got some really beefy characters, and we've still got 5 Inceptors to come down.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It could turn
plane.
like on a knife edge on turn 2. But we'll have to see what he does.
The lack of auras here.
It is super rough, and I can imagine the
So the
tilt
tech
is getting
bikes-
like pretty weird. You literally just like
Sorcerers,
lost
the plane will fire.
somewhere in the
the
region of about
attack
1,000
bikes over
points
here.
in 2 turns.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
oh, shoot.
9.
Not even like fight phases, just shooting.
I
That's
think
it.
a 4++.
You know.
It was. I think that it
That's
might have been a
12
blunder not to shoot the multi-meltas
You're
into
right,
the
I'm
copter
mixing up with the plane.
in
Tank has 9
Curry's
shots,
first
mine's
turn,
12.
just to make sure that it died.
Okay, so we're hitting on
Those
fours,
Terminators would
multi-rolls,
still be alive if they had the Feel No Pains
and
and the
then we're moving
Invulns.
on 4s, strength 5. 1 massive wound, and you say, okay, cool. And that is going to be my turn.
Sometimes you mess
Yeah,
something in
no
your head
issue.
though. You're like, this guy charges this,
I
it
have
applies,
no
she'll
charges to
kill it, and
declare,
then it
and I
doesn't.
don't believe
Mhm.
that applies to
I
So
play
let's
enough
go
Tau to
for
know though that sometimes that's not enough. You
Yeah,
gotta
overkill
overcommit.
anything
Bikes
in
can't
40K.
fail.
That's probably like
Sure.
the best advice. Make
Get
sure
those
it
round
dies.
phase.
Like,
For scoreboard,
it has been a
I'll
real
engage
problem
on
this turn.
fronts.
Yeah,
And-
everybody's in a different front this time, so that's 3 for engage on all fronts. Bring the total up here for Lockjaw to 30 points. Curry's going to score 5 points for his first primary, and is looking to get some points for Bring It Down and the rest of it. It
5
is not
points
a
for primary?
terrible place to be, but it's certainly not good.
No.
What does Curry like? Curry obviously needs to get onto enough objectives to score domination, but at this point, I think that's like it's just going to get those units shot to death. Like the Corpuscari obviously can do the work. For 1 CP, they do a disgusting amount of damage. So domination might be out of the running. They need to focus on like one flank and take it if they can.
Yeah.
They also need to get rid of this stupid plane and then hopefully rely on some incredibly good jinx saves on these attack bikes.
Because you gotta remember, like the majority of the enemy threat is in this like bottom like left-hand corner.
Yeah.
So if you just play to the right flank, the weaker flank right now, you could be in an okay position. The problem is the Blade God veterans are on this flank, like.
Right.
So that's easier said than done. Like.
Yep.
And because of the way that Alpha ruled it, I can't put something in Devastator Doctrine to get the extra range.
Oof. Yeah, that's a thing that you guys ruled, isn't it?
Pouring over my
Yeah.
computer.
Because we have to look at every chapter and go, does this apply? Does this apply? Does because we had a lot of
It's because
questions
of the way
about
it's
it.
worded. It's worded
Yeah.
to make an attack. And I can't declare an attack if I'm not in range. So the weird, really fun interaction.
Oof.
Yep,
They still have a 24-inch range to declare attacks.
I see.
When they resolve the attack, they have a 30-inch range for the melta, which means that they have a 15-inch multi-melta range.
I think I recall reading that in Discord and being.
It's a very
confused about it.
hilarious interaction. It's just like, really?
I do understand the logic. It's very counterintuitive, though.
It is.
Fortunately, to get FAQ'd. Like,
Yes. Fortunately, that did happen.
GW are terrible at writing rules, like for competitive play.
They're not great at it. No, sadly.
I'll be quite honest. I don't really see.
So it's the
a
one thing
way
I want to
back
see
into this
like
for
change
myself.
from like 9th edition to 10th edition.
Losing
They're going in the
all
right
of
way
my
with like
Terminators
GT pack and
in
stuff,
that
but I
in that
want
turn really hurts.
like that GT
That's a
pack just to be
surprise. I
full
was
of
not
all these
expecting that.
interactions and like updated, like virtually like monthly.
The
but,
Corpus Scari, I
You know,
expect
you
to
don't end up with a
actually pick up.
10-page FAQ for a tournament.
So, what can Curry do? Like, we're currently in a situation where even Curry's asking, like, what can he actually do? And there's very little, sadly, just because of how much firepower there is, and any move that Curry makes is going to put his stuff out in the open where it just gets shot by an untouched gun line of AdMech stuff that still has more than enough CP to do everything again if it needs to. And it won't need to. Wrath of Mars probably won't need to be used the rest of the game. The regular shooting ought to do the trick. Just big yikes.
Yeah.
I think that, for one, the copter needs to die. that copter needed to die turn 1, and we predicted that if it didn't, that it would cause havoc, and it did. Go figure, turns off rerolls and auras and everything, makes things difficult. So what Curry needs to do is take that thing out and kill it properly this time. Hold on to all of his characters and hide them behind line of sight obscuring stuff for the rest of the game. And then at least try to take out one flank. But no flank is safe to take. One side has an easily redirectable 20 Corpuscari Electro Priests. The Ballistari are fast enough as to be able to redirect themselves if they need to. Just run into the center of the board so that way they get good lines of sight as well. The Cerberus Raiders on the south side are nearly, at peak efficiency. The Disintegrators are able to move around and do what they need to do whilst not putting themselves in danger, so as to keep the While We Stand We Fight intact. Right now, any move that Curry does is a move that gets him killed in return.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, you move like your assets to take like one flank, and the admate just respond with everything. And they, like you said, they've got CP, so they can just like Raphamarge you again, do additional minus AP, and then you still got that problem of like exploding sixes as well.
Yep.
And rerolls from call. It's pretty grim. Like, to be honest, like.
Yeah, if you heard Curie just mention that, he's like, he regrets leaving the attack bikes out. That's like how he got burned really bad.
Yeah.
That sucked. Having the copter alive for another turn instead of like making sure it was dead by putting the Melta bikes into it instead of the Scorpius Disintegrate on the other side of the map might have been a blunder as well.
Yeah, I mean, mathematically, like, he should have taken the copter out with enough plink damage and with the Samuel's charge. And the dice did swing against him there, but
yeah,
I think when you kind of lose games like this, you can blame the dice, which are certainly fair to blame at sometimes. Mathematically, that copter should be dead. That's on the dice, sure thing. But certain things like deployment, like we talked about, losing the attack bikes, those are things that you can kind of point to, just decisions that you made that cost you. Mm-hmm. And Curie also mentioned that he regretted taking domination because it forced him to play the middle objectives where he was going to keep getting blasted off. So I think like certainly dice swung one way. Certainly going first for AdMech increases their win rate. But when you lose a game, like I just did recently, you have to look and see where you messed up, right? You got to own where there's certain things that you could have improved.
Against Chris, like, I think I did what Kiri did in like one way weirdly. I underestimated like the shooting, like the Iron Hands could put out in a turn.
Yeah.
Because I thought with their survivability in my army, like I can tank it, and mathematically I could like tank it potentially. So we both deployed like super aggressively, and both banking on like first turn, and then he got it, and literally like took about 750 points final turn.
Yeah. That's the thing with shooting armies is that if you deploy aggressively against them and the gamble works off, you go first. That's fantastic. But if it goes against you, like what happened here, Curry did deploy aggressively. Curry did make sure that if he got first turn, things would have been brutal the other way around. But getting turned on like that definitely hurts. The Ballistari did a huge number turn one. Just even like removing all those bikes, making Sammy like as weak as he was. The bombs even doing work. There's only 4 Blade Guard veterans left. It's tough. And now that the Dark Angels don't have a front line outside of the Blade Guard veterans anymore, it's like there's too little butter spread over too much bread. This is it's scary. Like, this is bad because of the fact that there aren't enough of the assets he needs to be able to take out this backline. Like, there's an unbeatable front line that cannot be charged. If it needs to fall back next turn, he can do that for 2 turns in a row. At this point, and even if the Cerberus Raiders decide not to fall back, they can probably survive any charge the Dark Angels put out on them now.
Yeah, guys, I think they're calling it.
Yeah, wow, really fast game. I wonder if it would have been smart to keep the Inceptors on the table turn 1. Maybe.
Well, I agree. They could have just hit behind a rune and popped out because you know that like the Raiders are gonna come in, and it's really good shooting against them, like because you're getting blast, so and it just removes like one of them. You don't have to deal with it. And yeah, like we pointed out, like I can understand like do the charge of Samuel and fire kill it like on 3 wounds should make sense, but I'd rather just personally I'd have just overkilled it and made sure that I didn't have to put up with that nonsense of turning off auras for like 2 turns in a row.
Yeah, no, like turning off auras like that 2 turns in a row is literally game ending, and I'm surprised that there wasn't like a commitment to like make sure that happened. Mathematically, sure, Samael kills that thing, but that's not a guarantee, and that should have been reason enough to just make sure that that's the case, because that is such an integral unit to kill. Now, that could have been a problem as well, because, like, you know, it can auto-explode and all that stuff, but that's just something you have to get... it's just something you have to deal with in a situation like this, I think. Oh, just brutality.
Super brutal armament list. Like, you know, especially on the long deployment, where it's just going to get 2 to 3 turns of shooting against you as well. Like, that's just super rough.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think here, like options. Maybe. How would you guys feel about deep striking Terminators in this matchup?
Not a fan. I would not have been a fan here.
Coming out of reserves against AdMech is just really hard because of the dogs.
Yeah.
They can just with anything, even like you were just mentioning the Inceptors. The only thing is, like we were talking, he has all line of sight shooting that hits harder and has longer range. So as soon as Inceptors come out to shoot dogs, you know, they get picked up by the longer range stuff with the same like angles. So it's just a tough matchup in that sense. I think, like, you know, I talk about this in terms of like assessing your losses. It's like you have to go back and look at kind of where you made certain mistakes, and in this game it seems like deployment, to be honest. I think he could have null deployed a little bit better.
Has to. Against a shooting army like this, you have to null deploy. And instead, we ended up in a situation where they kind of got alpha struck really hard. Here, why don't we want to listen to the players talk through their game a little bit, because I'm not sure if an interview is going to really do anybody much good, but like, it's not even their fault. It's just like, what do you learn from this game other than, oops, should have deployed better, you know?
I guess it happens. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, learning to deploy better is definitely an important lesson, to be fair.
Well, like we've said in the past, like, you can't win games in deployment, but you sure as hell can lose the game in deployment, and I think that that's definitely something that happened here.
Well, that's why at the Competitive Standard 40K, we just put out a video on how to deploy, so you should go check that out. It's got six tips.
The self-plug is real!
You need to know, and don't make the mistake that Kiri made. One lesson is start with no-brainer units, kind of figure out where the chickens wind up, where those angles are, and then you can kind of defensively use your bikes in a position where they're going to be out of line of sight of the chickens. You
now,
figure out where
they were going to get out deployed regardless, just because of the number of drops, I think. But there are 3 line of sight blocking, obscuring ruins. The elite army, like Space Marines, could have easily hidden their entire army behind these lines of sight. So that was definitely a gamble that did not pay off, from what I can tell.
No, drop count is an important thing to consider also. Who's going to end up having to reveal more of their forces first. That's the 3 Vanguard are going down. Transports, you know, you have those kind of units out, and then the more elite army has to try to deal with that lack of information when they're placing their important elite units.
When the time is right.
But I think the players are just talking it out at this point, since as much as Kiri wants to win or keep fighting, it's kind of seems a little out of hand at this point.
Yeah, so from here on out, Lockjaw scores primary the full way through. Engage all fronts for as max as possible. While we stand for you, play for 15 and assassinate for a decent amount.
Give the viewers a more epic long finals match, but that's okay.
That's fine. It happens.
Yeah, it does happen. No worries, you two. It's fine. It was still a good match to watch, and there's still a lot to learn from it. So that's kind of the important bit.
I hope the viewers were laughing pretty hard when Samuel biffed at killing that plane.
We all kind of had a moment. We all kind of had a moment watching that.
3 to wound, 2 to kill it.
In what world does that plane survive that attack? I don't know.
It shouldn't have. It was to a point though where I wondered, why didn't you shoot the multi-meltas into the copter as well, just to make sure?
He did, didn't he?
No, he put the multi-meltas into the disintegrator down the line. It's the only reason why your disintegrator is at 4 wounds.
That's right. Yeah, into the Dune Rider, rather.
Dune Rider, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
When he does 6 on average on the charge.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I get why you decided to just let Sammy do it, because he should have done it.
Statistic,
Yeah,
and it's one of these things where I was just like, if he only rolls one wound, then I CPU reroll the second one, and it's pretty reliable. But when those 3 1s and 1 2 showed up, and I looked at it and said, all right, well, that's basically game, because he's going to turn off my auras for another turn.
Yeah, and that's what
he's
we
gonna pick up
thought
the
would happen.
Terminators that I had placed not in the greatest position. But as I was talking with Lockjaw, it was one of these things where he was expecting me to deep strike my Terminators. But I've played against AdMech. I play AdMech as my second army. I know the kind of deep strike denial shenanigans that you can get up to. So I had to start the Terminators on the board. I debated starting my just hiding everything behind objective, behind the 3 obscuring ruins in my battle. The problem was I made the mistake of selecting domination.
Yeah, okay. I see what you're getting at with that one.
And
Yeah,
because
so
I
you wanted
selected
3
domination,
objectives.
I then played much more. I then deployed much more aggressively than I would have otherwise.
So instead of domination,
I very
then
much lost this game in deployment.
yeah,
It comes actually all the way back to I lost this game when I selected domination into one of my secondaries.
So what would you select instead of domination then?
That's a real question.
Right?
Honestly, I may even have selected the mission secondary instead.
Because it scores enough points that if you wait until later in the game...
Then I basically say I'm going to take a quarter of the board. I'm going to try to sit on 2 objectives all game, and I'm going to score 10 points on the mission secondary.
Right. That would make sense.
It's not ideal, but it's damn better than scoring nothing.
Hilariously, you could have done the same thing by having like a banner or 2 go up. But that would have been tougher to pull off because of charging
banners
units.
would have been about 7 points reliably if things had gone well.
And 7 is kind of low for a secondary. You're hoping for around 10.
If it's 7 reliably, I'm okay with that. Like, bring it down if things had gone not so horribly, but again, my deployment was one of the biggest issues here. Then it would have been bring it down would have been an easy
15
10 points
for sure. I have so many vehicles. It's insane.
But we're also admitting that like you have very efficient shooting.
Yeah.
Actually more efficient than mine.
Yeah. Yeah, with the rerolls and the extra hits, it's a lot of firepower.
And the mortal wounds and the additional
Well,
ridiculous AP stuff. Like the Corpus Cari did so much damage.
Lockjaw. The other thing is that he outranges me.
Yeah.
I do.
Because I've got multi-melta attack bikes, which they have a 14-inch move and they're 30-inch range turn 1, and then I've got missiles, which are 42 inches turn 1, and then everything drops by 6 after that. He's sitting on 36 and 48 and 48 on all of his big guns that he can just sit back and basically plink around. And he can zone me out using his raiders, which forces me to go after the raiders, try to clear them up, and then I can move up and engage with the rest of it. So like he basically if he hadn't picked up my bikes turn 1, those bikes would have just had to shoot at raiders because they were zoned out.
Yep.
They did not have the range to go into his ballistari or his disintegrators.
Yeah, that's why I put them so far forward. It was pretty aggressive, but I thought it was better to sacrifice them to lose a tank to multi-meltas.
8 raiders is 128 points or something like that?
Not much.
Yeah, it's perfectly
Sacrificing
sacrificable.
that to keep your Walby stands and your heavy-hitting artillery on
That's
the
what I was
table is
thinking.
Totally worth it.
Each squad of raiders is 112 points for 7 models,
Gross.
which is a bargain.
So undercosted. It's so good. And yeah, no, that was a really good move with the Raiders, actually. And from what we can tell from AdMech strategy so far, the Raiders are absolute winners in every single AdMech list that I've seen online or in real-life tournament lists that have popped up. Have you been finding that to be the case in every one of your games, or are there ever moments where they feel weak?
Never. The raiders always deliver.
So are you
They
advocating
don't
27
kill
of
very
them,
much.
or...
I'm sorry, what's that?
Do you want 27 of them in a list, or are you okay with just you having your 16 or so?
I think 2 squads is good. I could consider like 3 squads of 5 maybe, so then they don't give up, blast issue. But ideally, you want to area deny one objective on one side and the other, and usually 2 squads of raiders is enough to keep your opponent from getting those objectives in the middle. It's difficult because you can only use tactical bleak on 1 squad, which is why you probably don't want 3. But they have just been such incredible move blocking and area control for me this whole tournament. Love raiders.
How are you feeling about Fulgrites versus Corpuscari?
And I don't really need them to do that much damage because the damage dealers
I
are
want to
back
actually
here
say
on
that
big guns on my tanks
in
and Battlestar.
TTS.
The raiders
Oh,
just do
whoops.
the rest of the job, doing area control and scoring me
Can you
points.
pass that question on for me?
So
Yeah, utility
EDT
unit
has
more than
asked.
anything else.
Actually, EDT asked, how do you feel about this Corpuscari and why not go for the Fulgrites?
Okay.
Outside of the wrecking that they just managed to unleash, what else?
I'm not even kidding. It was a misclick. I completed my army list. I threw them all together. I thought I clicked Fulgurites, and then as soon as the army list came up, like, wait, why did it say Corpuscari? No, I chose Fulgurites. It was seriously a misclick that I submitted before the tournament.
Nice.
And yet,
And it turned out to be actually quite the strong pick.
And they actually were really good against the Orcs and against the Sisters of Battle. I
Yeah.
did not expect them to do very well against Space Marines, to be honest, but panned out.
turns out AP-2 does work. Especially when you're only wounding on like a 4 instead of a 3. You're like, okay, whoop-de-doo. This sheer number of dice I have means that that's probably okay.
Yeah, especially if they have Belisarius rerolls and their 6s double explode. It's so many hits.
And
I was
it's not
actually
like they're
surprised
trivial to
people
take
reroll
off
on
either.
the
They still have a
Corpuscari.
5-up invul and a 5-up feel no pain, right?
Yep, that's right.
It's effectively like having a 4-up invul. That's pretty good. Against damage 1 anyway. Is there anything that you think, you two, that like you'd say is like the most important thing to keep in mind in a matchup against each other's armies? Like Curry, when you look at Lockjaw's list, outside of deployment, what is like the most important thing that you think you'd advise people against a list like Lockjaw's?
I mean, I'm going to say deployment, and the reason I'm going to say deployment is what costs me not only that aggressive placement, but also being, I was talking with Lockjaw about this already, I placed both of my Feel No Pain auras so close to each other they would both be turned off by the same plane.
I forgot about that.
Which means that both on turn 1 and turn 2, when the plane should have been dead, but on turn 1, I didn't have a single Feel No Pain on my entire army, when that's actually a huge part of what keeps me in the game a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like Terminators with a 5-up with a 4-up invulnerable 5-up Feel No Pain and can't be wounded on anything better than a 4 usually last a while, not get picked up in a single turn of shooting.
Yeah.
Especially now both squads. That was some incredible rolling.
It sure was.
I mean,
lucky guy.
like I said, it wasn't the dice hot. The dice put out pretty much exactly what he was expecting to.
I guess that just means that AdMech rolling is
It was
incredible.
me not having any of my buffs to keep them alive.
Yeah. That's just like average AdMech shooting then, which is horrifying. I play Tau and I wish I could shoot that good.
I'm very curious to see what they do with the AdMech Codex this year.
Yeah, I remember Arover was actually saying that AdMech are probably one of the only codices that the players don't want. Like, out of all the people that want a codex, AdMech are kind of like, you know what, you can hold off. That's probably fine.
We're already too good. Engine War give us so many incredible tools.
Yeah. There's a reason why some people think that AdMech are S tier, and I would agree with them. They are exceptionally strong.
It's funny, a Scorpius Disintegrators went up at like 35% points. It went from like a 115 to 150 points. I'm still taking as many as I possibly can. Even with the big 9th edition nerf, they're still that good.
Now, there is I would say the MVP of your list in this game. The Copter did probably the most work out of anybody there, just by dint of it existing. It even killed the Blade Guard veteran with bombs, which is a big wow. Would you recommend this Copter in pretty much every list, or is it like, oh, this is actually kind of niche and you should only pick it up if you have a specific plan for it?
I think it's probably good to bring one plane, just because you access to the ability of auras. There are a lot of factions, mostly Chaos, I'm thinking, that have so many powerful auras that you really need access to turn off. They have been matches where the Fusilive did very little, and there weren't important auras to turn off. His weapons are kind of anemic. Maybe the units are not very high quality, so the bombs don't matter very much. But I think it's important to have this as what's the term? Yeah, a safety valve, a tool you might need to react to heavy aura play, and it was incredible here. A lot of people play with 2 flyers or 3. I don't really think you need that many because there are matchups where they're bad, but I really wanted access to one, the option to turn off auras.
Yeah, and it obviously has its benefits, as we saw in this game.
It's also great for engaging all fronts.
I don't think anyone ever like noticed how like good turning off auras is until like new Mortari.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I can imagine a lot of my players are now going to be looking at this plane and going, well, I've been on the receiving end of Mortarion or Death Guard, turning off my auras. I'm probably on the receiving end of new Dark Angels, doing exactly the same thing. So we're probably going to start seeing this plane a lot more.
Yeah, and the thing is, oh, sorry, go ahead, Curry.
No, I didn't have anything to say.
Oh, sorry, I saw your mic turn on. I'm like, oh, shit, I've been talking so much. I should let Curry say a word.
Picked up me typing.
Oh, okay. But yeah, like the copter's ability to turn off auras was something that was like really hyped up when the engine war first came out and the copter first came out. And then it seemed like it kind of poked its head around and then just went back to sleep for a while. But I am honestly super impressed. Like, this was an excellent first impression for me, seeing what the copter did. So, yeah, I could definitely see bringing at least one plane, pretty much no matter what list you're bringing along. There's so many good auras out there between the Troop Masters, like we said with Morty and the Space Marines. Even Sisters have a lot of auras that they want to work on. So,
yeah, that's right.
Auras are a thing, man. Curry, on your end, I know that your list kind of got shafted in this one for a lot of reasons that we've already discussed. But when it comes to your list, is there anything at all that you looked at and was like, hey, this still would do its job just fine in this list? Like, given time, this would still be fine? Like, what should have... Man, it's hard to word, because, like, your list didn't have a chance to do anything it wanted to do. But, like, what units do you have typically for Dark Angels that you're looking at and going, okay, this still could work? Like, this still was fine, it just didn't have a chance to shine this game.
That's kind of a difficult question, because we've gotten the Codex supplement now, which has given some rules.
Okay, so then out of your list, then considering the new Codex, better question, how would this list change if you were to go ahead and submit another Dark Angels list to a league?
More Terminators, more bikes, no troops.
More Termies.
Okay. More Termies.
And less troops. Okay. Even considering the new Green Wing kind of like interactions and stuff?
Yeah. All the lists that I've been building lately have either been a single Vanguard or a Vanguard and an Outrider.
Would you still bring the brick of 6 Blade Guard, or maybe break it up?
Honestly, I kind of haven't really been looking at Blade Guard so much. I've been looking more at Relic Terminators.
Okay.
Yeah, they're flexible.
Judiciary is okay, but for Dark Angels, you just bring a Librarian and he does the same thing.
And you have a really good...
We have a Warp Charge 6 psychic power that is the Judiciary. That's an 18-inch range. So you just basically reach out and say, you fight last.
Which is great against...
ineligible to fight.
Yeah, which is really good against any armies that don't bring a Librarian or some other form of psychic defense. But against armies that do bring a form of psychic defense, like Demons or Craft Worlds or Harlequins most of the time, a Judiciary could be more reliable, even if it's in a smaller area.
Yeah, the problem is that it's a much smaller area, and it's very easy to play around a character like a Judiciary, especially now that it's only a 3-inch aura.
Yeah.
Or it's not even an aura, a 3-inch targeted ability.
Oh, they shortened it. That's right, in the new code.
It was 6 inches when it originally came out, which made it difficult
oppressive
to play around, because you would, and that's exactly it. It was oppressive. You would sit it with a big melee brick, and then no one would want to come near it, or if they did, they would just die.
Yeah, I used to pair a Blade Guard with Judiciary sitting on, the center objective with heroic interventions all over them, and that was just impossible to shift those guys. Can't charge them, can't shoot them off with their 2+ saves.
Yeah,
and if you keep the right people around them, they also have feel no pains and everything else. Like, they're just...
Yeah.
They would have been
park in the center, out in the open.
Yeah, and with any chapter that still has the ability to heroically intervene with the Judiciary, like Salamanders can do it, Ultramarines can do it as well, Space Wolves. Like, those extended heroic interventions allow the Judiciary to still be extremely strong in some situations, but it's not for everybody anymore. Whereas the Judiciary used to be just, you include one on the list because you can. Kind of like Apothecaries now. Speaking of Apothecaries, your poor Apothecary didn't get a chance to go off. I feel bad for him. But how does he perform for you in general?
One Termi.
Yeah, there was that one Terminator. But how's the Apothecary been treating you throughout the rest of the tournament? And how do you think... I don't think it's changed at all in the new Codex, so this still
the
applies.
Raven Apothecary is unchanged, and which is still something that makes me laugh. The Raven Apothecary has a 6-inch Feel No Pain built in instead of the 3-inch that all other Apothecaries have.
Yep. With the bike base, that also makes him incredibly, like, just... It extends the aura by so much.
Then you have me fat-fingering my relic selection and making my own mistake during submission and giving him Angel's Ambit, which made it a 9-inch aura.
Just in case you needed an even bigger aura, oh my god.
Yeah, if you're looking at the table and you see that his aura covers a quarter of the table right now, that's why.
Oh my lord.
Because they were supposed to give him a relic that worsens invuln saves by 1.
Yes.
Specifically for the Harlequin matchup.
Yep.
And I didn't.
And he didn't.
But yeah, the Raven Apothecary has been the MVP through the entire tournament for me, both through the Feel No Pains, bringing things back, and on the rare occasion where I deep strike Terminators, being a delivery vehicle for them.
Right, because this is before the new Codex. You still have access to that Raven Wing stratagem to just drop Terminators
Still
within
have
6.
access to Combined Assault.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if he needs to be on a bike. If he's stationary and kind of hanging out with Terminators, he doesn't need all that movement. Could you just have one on foot? Deathwing Apothecary, if there's such a thing.
There is a Deathwing Apothecary. He also has a 6-up Feel No Pain. But
fun.
the main reason that I bring the Raven Wing is for the mobility. Because as you were talking about beforehand, I have the stratagem that allows to double move him. So
Yeah.
he sits in one area providing a Feel No Pain. If I want to apply pressure somewhere else and bring back, say, a guard, I'll double move him. I've also used it for stealing objectives even.
Yeah.
Late game.
There was a game we saw earlier against Tyranids where the speed of a Raven Wing Apothecary allowed the Dark Angels player to, like, literally win the game. If the attack bikes had been killed without the help of the Apothecary there, then that flank would have crumbled and the Tyranid player would have won. Probably, but yeah, just the Apothecary being able to move that far, that fast, allow the attack bikes to effectively go from one member at like 2 wounds to back to full 3 against a list full of monsters. It was gross. So I absolutely see the benefit of putting that guy on a bike, particularly when if you don't, you've got him at being tanky, but if your Apothecary is being shot at, you made a mistake already, maybe?
Yeah, and the advantage is that I didn't do it here because he wasn't going to be shot at, but if you are going to be putting him in harm's way, when you advance him, he has Jink. He has a 4-up invulnerable save against shooting.
All right, unless if there's any other questions from anybody else. Erever or EDT? Seemingly not. All right, well, in that case then, look, good game. It was short, but, sweet and brutal. Definitely showing off the power of the Admech. And, there's some lessons to learn. Yeah. At the very least, everybody learned an important lesson about deployment today. Is there anything you guys would like to say as a courier or Longshot would like to say as parting words?
Or maybe I cut out.
Possibly. I also like talking a bunch. So, is there anything that you would like to say before we head off?
It was an honor playing on Alpha League. It was a great playing against Yakuri. I hope everybody else enjoyed the show, and looking forward to the next season.
Yep, should be fun. Everybody's cooking up some new lists and some new ideas, and it's gonna be a post FAQ world, so even the Blood Angels are getting their stuff.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. So you're asking if people have more questions and stuff like that.
Please ask
First
questions.
Of all, I was waiting until you did all the main stuff before I sort of jumped in, and my mic's really weird on CCS for some reason. So I was going to say congrats, Lecture, on winning Group 1. You do have one last final hurdle, which will be the grand final, which is the winner of Group 1 versus Group 2. So that's either going to be Necrons, Slanesh Demons, Iron Hands, or Sisters of Battle, which would you prefer to face and why?
Maybe Sisters. I did beat them twice so far in playoffs, but maybe that was just a fluke. I feel like I have a really high volume of fire, which is pretty decent against Sisters. Maybe Slaanesh Demons. They are really, really aggro in my experience, and I think Raiders will do a pretty good job at keeping away all those charging demons. So yeah, I would pick either the Sisters or the Demons for my next opponent.
Yes, that sounds good. And Kiri, I think the reason you lost has nothing to do with deployment. You didn't believe in the Dark Gods enough, and I think that was it.
I don't believe in these kinds of jokes. What is chaos anyway?
Chaos is clearly a joke right now.
Yep, poor thing. Well, that said, the Dark Angels have fallen, and will not be getting back up. Sorry, Curry. And the AdMech continue on to the grand finals. So
He just banned you for that comment, by the way, from next season. Like,
I am not surprised.
he literally messaged me and was like, Slowwolf's now got a red card for next season. Because that
Oh, did you
comment.
call the winner before the game began, Slowwolf?
No. I thought it could have gone either way, and so I didn't start the prediction yet to see who would be the winner, and it happened so fast that I didn't have the time to rectify that mistake.
I didn't feel that great going into the.
Well, like, this is one of those games where it really could have gone either way. And honestly, if Curry had gotten first turn, that aggressive deployment he had would have really paid off. Boy, yeah, it was pretty brutal, sadly, that first turn. And then the second turn with the copter, again, going off, just, it clinched the deal. Like, that alone ended the game. Like Curry said, that's how AdMech shoot on a general basis. Like, that wasn't even super hot rolling. That's just what they do. So, yeah, the copter did what a copter does. Okay, well, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and make the executive decision. That's it for this game. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Curry and Lockjaw, for putting on an excellent show. And we'll see Lockjaw in the grand finals, which will be against who knows what, but preferably Sisters or Demons, apparently. Although now I'm curious as to why not Necrons, but maybe that's a conversation for another time. You two take it easy, okay?
Okay, have a great day, guys.
All right, and now it's just us, folks. Look, it was a fast game. It was a good game, but it was definitely a quick one. An dominating performance, really, by our new robotic cybernetic overlords from Mars, as it is. And that's gotta kind of be okay. Like, it's tough sometimes when you're going up against an army like that, and everything just goes horribly, horribly wrong. Erever, is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say on paper, like, the armies are actually evenly matched. It was, said this 10 times now, but yeah, just deployment, not going first, like long ass deployment as well. All kind of like big things for like the Dark Angels in that game. People were mentioning dice in the chat, and yeah, sure, Admech rolled hot, but then bear in mind, guys, that Kiri also rolled pretty hot on his saves for Samia as well on turn 2. So, the dice do balance out, so I don't like really using the argument of dice, like, too much, because they
even Curry can say that, yeah. Like, even Curry was like, you know what, that really wasn't dice. That was just AdMech rolling, like, us rolling exactly what we should have been rolling, and I just didn't have my defensive auras to keep me alive. Like, exactly. That was... Yeah, that's just what was supposed to happen, which is, like, scary. Just think about that. AdMech did not roll hot, and that's still what they were able to pull off. Like, yikes. Deploy
so tomorrow night, guys, 2100 UTC, we have our semi-final match from Group 2, which is going to be Iron Hands versus Sisters of Battle. So we never had Sisters of Battle on the stream, so that's going to be great. Really looking forward to what they can do and if they can bring it to the Iron Hands.
And this is the same Iron Hands list that defeated Glarg's TJ Lanigan-styled Magnus list, right? Yes, so... Yeah. It'll be interesting to see the Redemptor Dreadnoughts back on the field, particularly against an opponent that famously brings a disgusting amount of anti-tank weaponry.
Yeah, and Repentir and all the tricks. So many tricks with the Sisters. It's going to be great.
Gross.
Like, really looking forward to that one. But yeah, so big congrats against Lockjaw on winning like Group 1 out of, let me calculate this really fast in my head, 70 people, top player in Group 1. So, and then the winner of Group 2, he will play in Grand Final of Alpha League Season 6. We still got like, I think it's like 3 games in Group 2 in total to play. So we'll probably be looking to obviously cast the final of like League 2 first. We might even end up doing that midweek or something if that's the case, level, just to get it like out the way.
Yeah, 100%.
We can do the grand final on the weekend. But yeah, other than that, guys, sorry it was really short. Sorry if you had like settled down with your like a 3-course meal or a Chinese takeaway and we're like, oh, I'm gonna watch this stream, it's gonna be great, you know.
Hey, I mean, it was
6-pack of beer at the side, you know, like gonna be here for hours, you know, it's awesome. But hey, sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles, you know. You do end up with like super short games of 40k.
Yeah, short and sweet.
You know, so other than that, check out our Discord server. We have a lot going on there. Over 40,000 people that play 40k on there. If you're new to the game, or if you are a competitive player, looking to perhaps join Alpha League for next season, just pop me a DM on there. There is a command, but I forgot it.
Yeah, TTS Disco, and I've managed to put it in there. If you go ahead and join that Discord link, you'll be able to get access to the Warhammer TTS Discord, where we've got the Alpha League's home and everything else. It is a good place to be, at least from my recommendation, at least.
And the YouTube, on the YouTube, everything is going to be uploaded, but it's going to, because we already have the VODs on here, it's going to be, me and Mouse have been talking about this in the background, and we're just going to do it as a mass upload at the end of the season.
Okay.
So if you get really bored for a day, you can watch every like podcast and stream game that we've done this season. So it'll all just be like uploaded there onto the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
As well. I will go ahead and just grab you guys a link for that. So there's tons of content on there.
Yeah, Glarg, it was brutal. Curry got coptered twice. I think that explains it more or less. Praise the Omnissiah, save Martha, everything went right for them. It was brutality itself. But hey, you can watch the VOD for yourself and see exactly what happened. It took... Yeah, turn 2 shooting was horrible, Glarg, for Curry and his Dark Angels. Effectively, the copter was allowed to live, out of sheer dumb luck. But, you know, such is the way things are. And as a result, the 2 squads of Terminators were picked up in 1 turn.
Oh yeah, that was brutal. Yeah.
Which meant that there suddenly was no front line for the Dark Angels, which meant that the characters couldn't hide anymore, which meant that While We Stand, We Fight, and Assassinate were practically... yeah, the While We Stand, We Fights for Curry were taken out. There was no way to hold the objectives anymore because all the Cerberus Raiders are still alive. Watch the VOD. It was gross, Glarg. It was absolutely disgusting. All right.
I feel bad. Like,
I mean, it happens, you know. You have.
It's like a bit of a downer. Like, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like great. Like, stream this game for like 4 hours, and then, oh no, there's no Dark Angels left. Like.
Yeah. Reminds me of a game that I played with in 8th edition with my Necrons against my buddies Thousand Sons, and I lost full on half my army in 1 turn of Psychic because that happens sometimes. So.
Yeah. I mean, Kiri's done great. He's had a great run with the Dark Angels through playoffs, getting to the finals in it. So finishing top 4 this season. Yep, top 4 or top 6. I'll have to work that out mathematically. So really well played by him. Also, definitely. Yeah, just a number of errors that kind of went wrong early on when facing that huge gun line. Which just kind of sealed the deal, but he is a very good player, and I'm sure he will learn from it as well.
Yeah, like there's a reason why he got this far.
If you missed the interview, I totally agree with that. Like, really hard for him to pick up because of the robot dogs just getting in the way. So, yeah.
All right. Aw, thanks for the Prime subscription, Dan. Super appreciated it. That said, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. If you did, be sure to let me know. Hit the follow button to follow the channel for now. If you guys want some notifications when these streams go live, please go ahead and hit the bell as well. And if you have any feedback, I'm all ears. We all are. We want to know how to improve the stream and make it a better viewing experience for everyone. So be sure to go ahead and hand us any feedback you have. I'd like to go ahead and thank all of you for watching. It's for you folks that we put on these streams. And yeah, we'll be back with the semifinals match, I believe, tomorrow from the other group. The victor of that has a very good chance of going on to try to fight Lockjaw for the grand finals and the ultimate winner of the Alpha League Season 6. The music today was brought to you by, well, I guess I'm the one that put it on, but the music today was from the following two places. The first is Death by Dice Volume 1, as produced and put on Bandcamp by Midwinter Minis. You can find them over there. Toss them some money. It's great music for that grim, dark kind of aesthetic. The other music that I was using was from a game called Into the Breach. The soundtrack was composed by Ben Prunty, and I was using various tracks from the game as well. Good game. Definitely different from Warhammer, though. It's more like chess puzzles, the video game. But it's very good, and the music is fantastically atmospheric, and I love it to pieces. So go ahead and check them out. It's available on Steam and the Switch, and a variety of other places too, I believe. That's it from us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you folks in the next game tomorrow at Arrover. What time again?
2100 UTC.
2100 UTC, so 21 minus 5 is 16, so that'll be 4 o'clock tomorrow p.m. EST for those of you that are on that North American time zone literacy. Anyway, that's it from us. It's been a good time, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for what might be a longer game. But
Yeah, take care, guys. Thanks.
All right, guys, take care.